program is brought to you in living color on NBC.
Oh, crap, my mic is muted all this time. Hello, this is Chance Bartels of the Nostalgic Pod Blast with a special report for you all. Hope you're having a great new year. Happy New Year to everybody. Gonna talk about and perform something for you pertaining to a show called The Space Giants. And I'm not trying to ram the Space Giants down your throat. I've talked ad nauseum about the Space Giants. I've been releasing the Space Giants about 4 episodes a week. And I took a pause. I'm going to resume in the second week of January 1967. And there's, to give a brief history, I did an entire biography of the Space Giants on my channel with this thumbnail image. Anyone who wants to see it, it is right here. Let's see here. Not that image. It is this picture. That picture. If you go to the YouTube channel, The Nostalgic Pod Blast, anyone watching on Chance Acting Demo, my other YouTube channel, go to the Nostalgic Pod Blast, click videos, and look for this image that you see on your screen of this alien Rodak who's threatening a family. In that family is Tom Mura, the father, Ito Tom Mura. He is one of the lead reporters of the National Press International in Tokyo, Japan. There's his son, Miko, and his wife, Tomoko. And Rodak comes to this family because he wants the world to know that he wants to conquer and take over the earth. And this was pre-internet. Again, this is July 4th, 1966 in Japan when this debuted. 4th of July in America, of course. And at that time, you had Star Trek debuting on American television screens. Just to put it in perspective, and a lot of people think the Space Giants was a 1970s show. It was not. It was a show that was produced, as I said, in Japan between 1966 and 1967. The first episode debuted, as I already said, July 4th, 1966, which was a Monday. The last episode, the 52nd episode, aired on June 26th, 1967. And it's like a soap opera for kids. And there was a lot of violence in this show. The show had to be toned down before it was syndicated in the United States of America. Now, there was basically a pilot episode translated into English, which was the Christmas episode, episode 25 of 52, in 1970. Then in 1972, the remaining 51 episodes were translated into English. And you had a gentleman named Paul Hecht who did the voice of the alien Rodak, as well as the hero Goldar, and he was the narrator of the show for episodes 1 through 30. Sadly, he was replaced, and Paul Hecht was a Broadway star. Like, he was nominated for a Tony Award. He was in a lot of movies and television shows like Starsky and Hutch and small supporting roles. He had a great role in Howard Stern's Private Parts movie, the guy that performed in Summerstock. If you remember that scene in the movie, it was a very notable scene, very small role, but I love this guy's voice. Now, I'm going to perform for you. I had someone come to my house back in 2018 and translate these for me. Her name's Akiko. Let me show you what she looks like. This is Akiko. She is in Japan now. And she's a very beautiful lady. I met her on the set of a show called Drop Dead Diva, which was a show on the Lifetime cable television network in America. And we were both stand-ins at the time. Very nice lady. She unfortunately had tragedy strike. Her husband was killed in an accident. And she wound up going to Japan to visit her parents. And then she wound up staying over there. But anyway, so she actually translated these for me. So what I'm going to play are just scenes from the end of the 14th episode and some of the 15th episode of the Space Giants. And these scenes have never been heard in English. Now, there was a big cliffhanger at the end of the 14th episode titled The Terrible Terron, which aired on October 3rd, 1966 in Japan. That will be in English. I'll play that clip in just a moment. But the resolution of the cliffhanger was in Japan. Now, I think it might have aired in English back on the superstation WTCG, WTBS in Atlanta, Georgia, Ted Turner's network, which was beamed on cable television all over the USA in those days. And all that survives of the English tracks are like Betamax tapes and VHS tapes of people that recorded the Space Giants off of TBS between 1977. It debuted there in late 77 and ran through early 1981 on that network. So somebody recorded those. And what has happened over the years is people got a hold of a Japanese laser disc, and it's since been released on Blu-ray in Japan, but the English tracks have not been located yet. Lakeside Television distributed the Space Giants after Star Wars was released on movie theater screens starting on May 25th, 77 in limited release, and then in wide release in early June 77. All of a sudden, space was in. So Ted Turner wisely picked up this little show, which was originally titled Monsters from Outer Space, in syndication in 1972. I know there were stations in Massachusetts and the Boston area that ran it, as well as in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I'm not sure about the West Coast. I just know about the East Coast before Ted Turner made it available to all the cable subscribers that had basic cable in the early basic cable days in the late 70s and early 80s. Excuse me while I take a sip of coffee. So there was a huge cliffhanger, a big battle scene between Goldar and Rodak. And either the tape was damaged or the person who recorded it late. I can't believe that TBS would cut this scene, because TBS would cut scenes for time so they could air more commercials, because these were at least 25 minutes in length without commercials, sometimes 26 minutes in length without commercials, and it had to be cut to 22 minutes without commercials back even in those days in the late 70s and early 80s. So it could be profitable for WTCG, WTBS, the Superstation 17. So some scenes were cut. They would typically pick up late at the start of an episode or just cut a scene out. And then, as I said earlier, there were scenes that were cut for excessive violence, beheadings, and they would even change in the dubbing. Goldar, who's a 50-foot robot, there he is fighting a giant monster, Terron, the heat monster, who was the monster featured in the clips you're going to see today. Well, Rodak could increase his size or decrease his size to match Goldar's size. Goldar is a transformer rocket robot. And Rodak is astounded by him. He had no idea of Goldar's existence when he decided to take over the Earth and conquer it. And so in the beginning of the 5th episode, end of the 4th, is when Rodak first sees Goldar, the Space Avenger. So that little resolution of the cliffhanger, to my knowledge, has never been ever seen in English. It's not on the internet in English. I can't find the English tracks of the opening of that episode, which resolves the cliffhanger battle between Goldar and Rodak. But we're going to watch it tonight, and I'll do my best. I'm no Paul Hecht, the guy who voiced Goldar and Rodak, but I'm just going to do the best I can. And I can't really perform it the way I want to because of the microphone and technical reasons. Probably shouldn't do this live. I probably should pre-record it where I can control the audio levels better. So I can't do the right inflection. So it's going to seem like I'm overacting, and I am. But there's a reason for that. It's the only way I can really present this. So let's watch the first scene. Now, this is in English. This is the cliffhanger where we're going to see for the first time in English, at least since the original airing. Let's just say since 1981, you've not heard the resolution to this major cliffhanger in English. So I'll do the best to perform that for you. But let's look at the actual cliffhanger, which is in English, and then we'll get to my performance. And then I have some other news for you. I have a movie review I'm going to share with you after we talk about Space Giants, and a huge hot tip for Trekkers. Something very exciting happened this week for classic Star Trek fans of the original series that we'll talk about in just a little while. So I told you and showed you who Rodak is. I'm going to play a brief clip of Rodak warning the Earth of what's going to happen. Now, I've played this a couple times, so bear with me. It's only a minute long. It's Rodak's Christmas message, but for those that have never heard of or seen Rodak or know of the Space Giants or Ambassador Magma, let's look at this quick clip to set up the first clip, which is a cliffhanger from the end of episode 14. This is a part of episode 25, the Christmas episode of the Space Giants. And shout out to the Space Giants Facebook page. Ken runs that page. It's a great resource if you want to explore Space Giants. If you know of Space Giants, if you're a Gen Xer like me, go to that Facebook page. There's several, but it's the best one. It's the most updated one. It's just simply called The Space Giants on Facebook. It's a page. But here is Rodak's Christmas warning to the Earth.
There you are, son. You've been a good boy. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Miko.
Well, Santa, you know my name, didn't you?
Oh, here you are. Here. A special gift just for you. Take it.
There's nothing written on it. Rodak!
Someday all of Earth will be mine, and neither you nor Goldar, the Space Avenger, will stop me. I shall continue to send my monsters until you are conquered. Here is my Christmas present to Earth. This is Vakuma, and it will soon reach your planet to destroy as much as it can. It will give you a small sample of my invincible genius and power. Merry Christmas!
It's headed toward Earth.
Now, the voice artist who was dubbing the character of Miko, that child you saw in that scene, that's different. That was for the pilot. That's actually not the pilot of the show, but it was the first American pilot, episode 25, that they did in 1970 as a one-shot to sell to independent stations in the U.S. When it was picked up and they decided to translate the remaining 51 episodes, there's a totally different voice artist who voices the character of Miko. So he sounds different in that clip. Anyone who knows the show, the English version of the show. So now here comes the cliffhanger that is in English. Let's watch it. It's 3 minutes and 51 seconds long to set up my performance of the resolution of that cliffhanger, which is not available in English yet, with the original voice talent of Paul Hecht.
Does it register anything? No. She doesn't possess the item you're seeking.
Link, you know very well what I am looking for, so don't make it any more difficult for yourself. I want that locket you took with you when you escaped from the planet Kua.
Rodak, I hate you.
Hate?
Goldar,
beat you one of these days.
If you don't give me the locket this instant, I'm going to release my monster Taron.
It's him?
Look for yourself. What happened to your planet, Kuwal? The exact same thing is going to happen to Earth if you don't do as I say. Tell me where the locket is or I release Taron.
Attention! Earthlings, we're just located at this training center.
Earthlings? Catch them, whoever they are.
Are you hurt? I'm okay.
Huh? What's this?
Oh, the whistle.
Get him!
Lita!
Now that you know what operation is going on here, the two of you must be destroyed immediately. This training center is something that no Earthling must ever know about. It is to your misfortune that you have discovered it. Destroy them! I've been waiting a long time to this, Goldar. So have I, Rodak. Ready?
Wow. And in the English version, they added this little effect of the two rays from Goldar's antenna and Rodak's fingertip colliding and exploding. And went, it was really cool, I thought, as a little youngster watching the show. So now my hot little hand is the script that Akiko translated for me back in 2018. And I'm still in contact with her. We can't talk by phone because of long distance. She's a really sweet lady. Just Facebook communication is it. But I'm so grateful to her for translating this for me. So there's the cliffhanger. Let's now, let me clear my throat. I'm going to try to perform the resolution in English for the first time since, let's say, 1981. Oh, and I had some comments come in before I do that. Let's see. You had me at Space Giants, man. I'm old, says Joe Russo. How you doing? Steve Russo, are you related to Joe? Says, I can't recall, but did you ever get episode 7 translated? Yes. The one episode that no English track is turned up for. Yes. And I'm going to do that. This is just the first time I'm trying this. I did this Christmas day or Christmas night with the Christmas episode with the cutscene. As you know, I think you were there tuning in, where Rodak kills the preacher. I may do that again today. I don't know. But I'm just going to do this episode by episode. So I will get to episode 7. Now, Oh, cool. Someone watching here, I don't know this person at Lantuum says, I literally ran home after school to watch this every day in the 1980s. Joe says, nope, no relation to Steve. Joe Russo, Steve Russo. That's cool. Esmeralda's here, by the way, in Washington State. Danny Staten is here in South Carolina saying, if Godzilla was a vampire for 100, as if we're playing Jeopardy right now. Speaking of Jeopardy, Joe Gutfeld in New York State says, any trivia tonight? I'll try to get to it. Yeah, I'll do a little trivia for you. I didn't plan on it. This is just going to be a quick thing. Now, let's get to the resolution of that cliffhanger. I don't want to keep the people that only care about space giants and suspense any longer. I'm going to do my best to perform this. So let me make sure that I have my mic on, and here we go. Let's get it. Goldar! Take that! Come back! Take this, Rodak. Hold up! Though you are my enemy, you are mighty. How is it possible for stupid Earthlings to make a great robot rocket like you? It's a secret, Rodak. Wait, Rodak. The childlike power you have makes me laugh. Yoda, show me your real power. Now I'm going to show you what I can do. What's this? Rodak, I got this element from the planet Venus. And it will turn you into scrap metal. Just run! Em, take care of her. Let's go! Father, you saved us. We could have been killed. Thank you, Goldar. You both did a great job against so many. Whether you win or lose, it's important to fight courageously. That is how you save the Earth. Yes! Because of Rodak! Heron is going crazy, destroying things!
I'll attend to that immediately.
Please let me assist.
Stay here, Gam.
Oh, why?
I want you and Miko to destroy this entire training center. Make sure it can never be used again. Can you do that?
Certainly, Goldar. Right, Miko?
We'll sure try.
Good. Gam, I'll let your mother know that you're all right.
There you go. Thank you. Thank you for letting me perform that so badly for you. Now I'm going to play a little more of that episode. There was a cliffhanger to that very same episode, which also wasn't translated, or the person who recorded this on Betamax recorded it late. I don't think that's likely. I think it probably just ended early for more commercial time on WTCG, WTBS. Let's look at the comments now. A lot of nice people are watching right now. Let's see here. Joe Russo said it was TBS back in the day. Yes, WTCG and then WTBS. The Superstation. It was branded as the Superstation. Ted Turner's Super Network, which aired Atlanta Braves games. Classic movies. My mom loved to watch TBS when I was a kid for the movies they played. It was long before Turner Classic Movies. Atlantium also says, speaking of TBS, anyone remember The Unknown Newsman? No, I remember wrestling, Gordon Soley on WTCG and WTBS. You had Mr. Wrestling #2, Tommy Wildfire Rich, Junkyard Dog. I loved all of that. I loved the rest. Gordon Soley was the MC, and you had Bill Tush. He had the show Tush there on TBS. Funny, funny man. And then he said, yeah, Atlantium, watch. I'm probably mispronouncing your handle. Sorry about that. Atlantium. Atlantium says, actually, it was probably still WTCG when Unknown Newsman was on. There you go. There you go. I'm a child of the 1970s. I don't remember that, my friend, but I'm going to look into it and research that. And Atlantium also said, a Japanese lady I worked with told me the show was called Magma Ambassador in Japan, presumably because their base is in a volcano. You are correct. It was Ambassador Magma. But maybe it was Magma Ambassador, literally translated into Japanese. You know how in Spanish things are backwards, you know? Anyway, I don't know. But yes, it's Ambassador Magma is the original title. And then it was titled Space Avenger for the 1970 pilot, which was the Christmas episode number 25. And then Monsters from Outer Space in 1972 in limited syndication. And then finally, The Space Giants when Lakeside Television, the distributor of the show, rebranded it when it aired on WTCG and WTBS. Joe Russo says, well, so much for lunch break. Greetings from Holly, Michigan. Thanks for popping in. Catch the replay. I'm going to do another little performance. I'm going to keep doing this from time and time again, based on Akiko's translations of scenes that I do not have in English. And I hope that there's been so many times in the show I've talked about something I wanted to happen, like, for instance, seeing The Fall Guy in reruns again in terms of the entire series. And then, sure enough, it wound up on the Heroes and Icons channel. That's because of the movie, though, not because of me. No hubris intended. I'm just saying, I mean, there's things like I'll talk about that I want to see out there, and then through the grace of God or just good luck, it winds up happening. So hopefully someone will search the Lakeside Television vaults for the lost English tracks of the Space Giants. Joe, new subscriber, welcome aboard. Hey, I will subscribe to you as well if you care about subscriptions. I don't know if you're a content creator. I will check out your channel as soon as I sign off. Appreciate you, bud. Joe Esmeralda in Washington State says to Joe, I love this channel. Glad you subbed. Yeah, thank you. And thanks, Esmeralda, for the kind words. You're a sweetheart. Happy holidays. Happy New Year to you. Atlantium said, I don't care what they call it, as long as they don't change the music. I love the music in the Space Giants. It had original scores. Joe Gutfeld said, here in New York City, we had a superstation. Yes, WWOR out of Secaucus, New Jersey. TV Channel 9, correct. Just like WGN Chicago Channel 9. Ted Turner set the stage. I think his was the first superstation, and then other major markets had the same concept. Absolutely. I watched WOR all the time. I taped all the episodes of BJ and the Bear off of WWOR, which is a show that has never been released on home video in any format, be it Laserdisc, VHS, DVD, or Blu-ray, or certainly not 4K. And there was a rumor that in 2008, at the great June 2008 fire at Universal in California, where a lot of music was destroyed, masters of Elton John music, as well as video masters were supposedly destroyed. I think that's true. And a lot of people said the BJ and the Bear 35 millimeter negatives were destroyed in that fire. I don't know if that's true or not. I do know there are syndicated prints still out there because there was a TV network called RTN. It's defunct now. It was called RTN. It was before MeTV. RTN. They aired the spinoff of BJ and the Bear, and I recorded that, called The Misadventures of Sheriff Lobo in season 1, and then changed to simply Lobo for season 2 of that program. And I recorded all the ones they aired on RTN back in 2008, and I have those to this day. And they just started the end of season 1, and then it went defunct, and they started just re-showing the same season 1 Misadventures of Sheriff Lobo episodes. But anyway, I digress. So, hey to Tracy's Fractured History More. I've made her a fan of or I've helped her become a fan of the Space Giants. I didn't make you do anything. That was a poor choice of words. But she says she's hooked on Space Giants. That's because you like soap operas, right? As I said at the top of the show, Space Giants was a soap opera for kids, and it had a lot of elements. By the way, anyone that has seen that Christmas episode that I put on my channel, Miko's mom, if you've not seen it, spoiler alert, the Miko's mom, Tomoko, was taken over by the head Lugo man in the 9th episode, and she disappeared for a long time. Well, Rodak surrendered her when he was beaten at the end of the Christmas episode by Silvar and Mura, and Miko with his laser rifle that he got as a Christmas gift from Gam. And as a token of surrender, he returned Miko's mom. Well, I wish they had more characterization in the Space Giants explaining, where was she? Was she on the ship? She must have been presumably on Rodak's ship. But when she came back, in the English translated track, she's just like, oh, I'm just so glad to be back with my loves, with my family. But we never learn, was she like in suspended animation? What happened? Did they interrogate her like they interrogated Gam in early episodes when Gam was a prisoner on Rodak's ship? What happened to what happened to Miko's mother, Tomoko Mura? Anyway, that's one little thing that I wish, had been explained. Danny Staten says, this stuff reminds me of Ultraman. Yes, and did you know Ultraman debuted the same week as the Space Giants in July 1966, but Space Giants was first by a few days, kind of like Addams Family and the Munsters here in America in 1964. The Addams Family debuted first, I think, on September 18th, 1964. And then the Munsters, and that was on ABC. And then on CBS, the Munsters debuted a little bit later. Speaking of that, the Munsters had the movie Munster Go Home be released right after the show was canceled. And the cool thing about Munster Go Home, released in early 66 or spring of 66, was that you saw the characters in color. But of course, the pilot to the Munsters was filmed in color. And who else was in Munster Go Home? I'm digressing. Sorry. Was Robert Pine, the father of Chris Pine, Captain Kirk in the Star Trek recent movies. And he was the Sergeant Chips. He was in that, as was Richard Dawson. This is right around the time he just started acting in Hogan's Heroes, and certainly years before he was the original host of Family Feud. And he would joke on Family Feud in his monologues about Munster Go Home being a horrible movie, one of the worst movies he ever acted in. I remember seeing Richard Dawson in the doggone Outer Limits, season 1 black and white episode of the Outer Limits, the Invisibles episode. He had a small speaking role in that with his native British accent, which he lost. He was successful when he hosted. By the time Family Feud rolled around, pilot was filmed in 75. It debuted in July 1976. He had no trace of an English accent. Sometimes he would do an English accent when he would speak with a British contestant, but he masked his accent very, very well. But let's get back to the Space Giants. Hello to Judy Wheeler. Hello, Judy. I met her through Mongolian Monster, a great YouTube channel, a nice duo, a dynamic duo out of the state of Florida that go live on Tuesday and Thursday nights for a couple hours between 9 and 11 p.m. Eastern time. Coming by to say hi. Hello to you. You're probably not into the geek stuff because Mongolian Monster's they're, of course, as the title implies, they're into Bigfoot, UFOs, and just general talk. And they're into fishing. Big time fisher people. Happy Friday to you, ma'am. Judy, you'll hear, says Danny Staten to Judy. Tracy says, oh, happy Hanukkah, Tracy. And happy Hanukkah, by the way. This is the first time in 100 years that Hanukkah began on Christmas Day. That's pretty cool, pretty special. Something special's in the air. So happy Hanukkah to Tracy and everyone of the Jewish faith. This Festival of Lights is going on. So that's good. And people are saying hey to each other in the chat. So happy you're here. See, now you're in Hanukkah mode, right? Because Tracy shared with me in the chat publicly, she celebrates both Christmas and Hanukkah. I think that's pretty special. And I know I've known over the years some people in, not saying real life, but real people, real friends, real girlfriends that did both. That's pretty cool. And heck, Jesus was Jewish, right? Tracy's Fractured History More. Yeah, WGN Chicago 9. Right. I mentioned that when Mr. Russo was talking about, Mr. Gutfeld was talking about that being his superstation in his neck of the woods up there in New York State, out of Secaucus, New Jersey. I remember the Richard Bay show on WR Channel 9. It was kind of like a cheesy talk show. Anyway, that was on WOR. WGN, of course, home of the Cubs. I watched a lot of Cubs games back when Harry Carey would announce them. Never forget one time Harry Carey, I think he was still drinking. I don't think he ever gave up drinking. But towards the end of the game, the camera comes on and you see like a beer bottle upside down right on top of his microphone. It just looks so funny and weird. Holy cow, Harry Carey here. And he was slurring everything. There's just a beer bottle. We were cracking up. I was watching the game with friends and we were like, look at the beer bottle. It's like one of those glass Michelob looking beer bottles, just upside down, empty. Very, very funny. It had to have been 1992 or something when that happened. It was really funny. And then here in our neck of the woods, we had Skip Carey, his son, and then Chip Carey, Harry Carey's grandson, is in the broadcasting business as well. Tracy says, I love Rodak. He's great. Tracy says Rodak reminds her of Gene Simmons from Kiss with his look and the hair and everything. All right. Getting back to Space Giants, Atlantium says Lugo Men versus Agent Smiths. Go. And it was so cool when they would turn into that ooze, when the gamma rays from either Gam or Silvar or even Goldar would strike them. I don't think Goldar would crush them. He'd stomp on the Lugo people. He wouldn't use his rays. And, I didn't finish my point, how in the translation to tone down the violence, in the 28th episode, which is the last episode I put on my YouTube channel, the Nostalgic Podblast Uncut, with more English tracks than you'll find anywhere else, there's a scene where these poor humans in episode 25, I didn't mention each storyline is a 4-part story. 4 half-hour episodes form a 4-part story. And so there's cliffhangers like the Adam West, Burt Ward Batman, if you will. And these poor humans, like a shop owner, a toy store owner or manager, is taken over by a demon dwarf robot, one of Rodak's creatures. And what had happened in the storyline before is the humans devised a weapon to destroy all the Lugo men. So presumably all the Lugo men are gone. You didn't really see them much after the 6th storyline, which is episodes 21, 22, 23, and 24. They launch a missile, and there's a weapon in it that attacks the vegetation matter that Lugo men are made of, and they can't assume the identity of human beings. It's like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the pod people, except it was kind of cool what they could do. They had the power of the 4th dimension, and so they could go through walls, they could go through cars, and they would simply like superimpose themselves over a human. The human would go unconscious, and a Lugo man would emerge in the image of the person they took over, whether it's a man or woman. So by the time the Christmas episode came around, it was never explained in English translations that it was sort of said that this weapon will destroy the Lugo people. And I think it was. That did happen. So Rodak came up with these demon dwarf robots that look like Lugo men, and they could change their size. So it was like they recycled the Lugo men's outfit, but they were robots. And what they would do is they go up the pant leg of a human and take the human over. So I'm finishing my point. Roundabout, long-winded exposition getting to my point. But they took over the shop owner or manager of the toy store. They took over this person, that person. And these people became terrorists, like doing terrible things to human beings. Well, by episode 28, Rodak Rodak. Goldar acts like Rodak in a way because he stomps on the humans possessed by the demon dwarf robots, killing them. And Rodak is talking to the lead human possessed by the demon dwarf robot from his ship, and he's like, "I order you, speak! Do you hear me? Speak!" And then his advisor on the ship, and then the guy goes, after he's been stomped on, and he falls out of frame. And the advisor says, "He fainted, sir." Clearly he was stomped to death and he's dead. And there were some times, like the girl Lita, who you saw on the clip, spoiler alert, she gets killed. She gets shot in the gut by a Lugo man. And in America, they cut her funeral scene. They have a burial at sea for Lita. And before that, though, the translator says, "Oh, she fainted." But it's real dramatic. Obviously, she's dead. You know, there's a big death scene that was not cut that did air in America. So it's funny how they changed some things, but they were inconsistent. They'd show some Lugo men getting beheaded, and then sometimes they would cut the Lugo men being beheaded. Like Gam turned into a rocket in the 5th storyline on the island of Balangor, and he turned... Oh, I didn't mention these were the first Transformer robots into rockets. These were the original Transformers, the original Power Rangers. These guys started it all. And so Gam was the kid that can turn into a rocket. He was a robot rocket, and he turns into a rocket, and the wing of his rocket beheads a Lugo man, and someone in America thought that was just too much. But in the storyline before, they showed all these Lugo men getting their heads chopped off. So it was just inconsistent. K Moonin asks Chance, "Have you heard of Kamen Rider?" Yeah. Esmeralda and Washington State Munsters was a fun show. It sure was. Our friend of the show, Tom Williams, he's a big Munsters fan. Joe Gutfeld says, "I love Richard Dawson on Family Feud." I do too. And in the wake of the Me Too movement, you know, he's been deemed a total creep. And he was a little creepy, no doubt. But he was an equal opportunity kisser. You can't say that he didn't love all women. And a lot of times it would be a little much when he'd kiss a child, you know, I mean, like on the lips, you know. But the thing is, to defend him a little bit, he was European. I think in Europe, and he was from a different generation. I don't think he did anything inappropriate. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to get too graphic here. It's a fun family show, but you know what I'm saying? A kiss on the lips is definitely weird between an adult and a kid that you don't know. Definitely weird. I'm not excusing that, but I just think he really did like children for pure reasons. You know what I mean? Like in his final episode, which aired in March of 1985, the last thing he said in his exit, he just says, you know, he did like a speech against war and like, you know, the children, the future of the world. Like, and he always would, this was misinterpreted too. Richard Dawson would I can't do it. Yeah. Would say, "I love you." That's sign language for "I love you." And people thought it was the sign of the devil. You know, like he got letters and he talked about it in interviews which you can find on YouTube. Interviews from, sadly, not too long before he passed away, where he says, "I got letters." And he had bad emphysema. He was a big smoker. He wasn't a drinker. He abhorred alcohol, but he was a big time smoker, kind of like the opposite of Larry Hagman. Larry Hagman was a big time drinker to the point where he needed to get a transplant like Mickey Mantle of a liver transplant. He was such a big drinker. He would drink champagne all day on the set of Dallas. I saw him with Larry King on CNN in 1997 talking about it. I need to put that full interview on my channel because I've put snippets of it on my other channel, Chance Acting Demo, where he's talking about acting in the movie Superman, the movie. Remember, Larry Hagman played one of the military men, and there's a cut extended scene where he does CPR on Valerie Perine's character, Miss Tessmacher. And she jokes about him having bad breath. "What'd you have for lunch?" "Ooh, mama." And that's Larry Hagman goes, "Oh, sorry," in the extended part. But he is in the theatrical cut. "I wouldn't have my men doing anything I wouldn't be prepared to do myself. About face." And he jumps on Valerie Perrine like a horn dog or something. His character, Larry Hagman, Superman the movie, which turned 46 way back on December 15th, 2024. Now we're in 2025. Wink, wink. Yeah, if you're watching on the replay. Yeah, it's 2025. Yeah, that's the ticket. Steve Russo said, "Monster Go Home" was released in July of 66. Yeah, I said early 66. Yeah, July of 66 in New York, and wide release in August of 66. Okay, so it's a summer movie. Thank you for that. I figured you were Joe Gutfeld. Happy Hanukkah to you. But you kind of, I've seen never mind. You may not want to reveal your personal life, but I think you celebrate both. This is the third night of Hanukkah as we're live. Very cool. Yeah. I used to love to play the dreidel game. Shirley Francis, my neighbor up the street, Lake Fjord, Marietta, Georgia neighborhood. I spent a couple Hanukkahs when I was a kid up there, and I love the dreidel game and the latke cakes, latke potato cakes, and it's good stuff. WR is New York City, New York. Yeah, but it was Secaucus, New Jersey, actually. You're right. I'm not arguing with you, Tracy, but if you looked at the call letters, I have it on tape. They'll say WR, Secaucus, New Jersey. I don't know. Somebody will correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what it said. I mean, maybe it moved. These are 1995 recordings I recorded of BJ and the Bear, and in the station ID, it would say WWR, Secaucus, New Jersey. So, I don't know. But yeah, it was definitely a New York station, I know. Because it was known and billed as WWOR New York. It definitely was. Esmeralda said, the only time I fished, I was about 6 years old, and they gave me a safety pin on a cotton line tied to a branch from a tree. I caught nothing, naturally. Well, you were 6. Don't beat yourself up. And WWR was the home of the Mets. I know, Joe Gutfeld, you're a huge Mets fan, like I'm a Braves fan. I'm a moderate Braves fan. I'm not a huge sports guy, but I do follow the home team, most of them, except I don't follow the Atlanta United Soccer Club football, if you're watching in Europe. And I played soccer for like 6 years growing up, but nothing against it. And they're very successful. They're champions. Nothing against them. I never got into that craze. But I do like baseball and I do like football, but I like the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have lost 3 in a row as we're live. They started so strong too, and they beat my Atlanta Falcons in the home opener here in Atlanta. But we're not a sports show. Sorry. Hair was always drunk. Hair? And I thought Richard Dawson was drunk too. All right, I gotta get back to Space Giants. Because a lot of people only care about Space Giants and not my banter here about other stuff. Danny Staten said, kids in Chicago having a good time. They are watching Channel 9. Used to watch Bozo on Channel 9 in like 1979. Yes, I did too. WGN Chicago did air the Bozo show. I watched it too, even though I was way too old. I watched it a little bit because it was funny. Joe Gutfeld says the Space Giants looks like the Power Rangers. Yeah, it was the first. It was the prototype for the Power Rangers. And they kind of recycled monsters from the Godzilla movies. Like in the second storyline, this monster, Berdoris, looked just like Rodan. And then the first monster that Rodak sent to Earth looked a lot like Godzilla. And Terron looked like the first monster. They look very similar, but they were different. Lugo Men rule. I know. Those are cool, and I love that. The third storyline, which is episodes 9, 10, 11, and 12 of the Space Giants, which is currently on my channel, that's my favorite. That's where the Lugo Men arrive on Earth, and it's kind of like, don't want to date the show as we're live, but you know how they had these in New Jersey area, these mysterious drones? And it's kind of timely, that storyline, because they have these cool ships. It looks like starships, it looks like a starfish. These ships come down, and it's the Lugo Men inside. And it was kind of cool. I like the sound effects. I like the sound effects in the Space Giants. I like the music in the Space Giants. They were ambitious. I mean, they had 1966 special effects technology, so of course they used models. They did the best they could, but I think they really did accomplish a lot, and I think they really were innovative. And I hope it gets officially released in better quality than I'm presenting. I'm using like Laserdisc recordings, multi-generational, because of what I had to do. I edited these back in 2014, just before the doggone Blu-ray was released in Japan. One of these days I'll get the Blu-ray set or collaborate with someone like maybe Ken, who runs the Space Giants Facebook page. I could send him the audio and we could team up, because I think he has the HD video. We could really knock this thing out of the park. But you know what? I kind of like that if you've not seen Space Giants, you have to watch it the way I'm presenting it, because A, you get the most English tracks of any place you'll ever see it to date. Currently, it's uncut. And also, when I was a kid, I watched it with rabbit ears or on cable, and it was like from 16 millimeter print, sometimes a faded color. I didn't see it in perfect quality. So I kind of like that. You're not seeing it in perfect quality. It's more than just merely watchable. It's not bad, but certainly it could be in HD once I upgrade. And then when you watch it later in HD, it'll be like, oh, wow, look at that detail. Look at that. And I want to present it with all of the English tracks or have someone officially release it. Better yet, I think it's in the public domain. To my knowledge, it is. By the way, I shouldn't say this on the air. I had someone write me on Instagram, sent me a private message. I wasn't connected with them, so it was like in a filter or like a spam folder. I saw it months later. Guy sent it to me in September when I started uploading the Space Giants to my channel, the Nostalgic Pod Blast. And he claimed to be with Lakeside TV, which I know is defunct, so I knew it was BS right out of the gate. And he says that I need to cease uploading Space Giants episodes. And he sent that in September. Didn't notice it until like late November. But of course, nothing happened. And his profile picture was of a Gorn from Star Trek, the lizard creature that Kirk fought in the episode Arena. Oh, and I got a great alert for Trekkers. I got a hot tip for you, which we'll get to later. Joe Gutfeld said, I used to get WGN on my cable. So did I. I got WWOR, New York, WGN, Chicago, and of course, our local WTBS, the Superstation. Tracy says, KTLA was the Los Angeles version of WGN. I remember that they were owned by the same company. Tribune Broadcasting? It was Tribune. I like MeTV. Now, I like that empire by, Weigel Broadcasting. I really like what they've put together with Heroes and Icons and MeTV and MeTV Toons, the new cartoon network. It's a throwback to networks of the past, but better in my opinion. Nick at Night was great, but they would talk over the end credits. MeTV never does. Now, their sister station, Heroes and Icons, does do that. They crunch the end credits, which I don't like. They show a promo. Not a fan of that, but it's better than nothing, right? And they have other networks as well. They do a really, really good job. Hey, Lance Chafin, watching on Facebook Live. How you doing, Lance? Listen, I need to figure out how to get you on my YouTube channel. Somebody who we both like did something, and I want to fix that. I don't need to talk about this on the air. Esmeralda says, Richard Dawson, I thought, was just a bit clueless. You mean because he would kiss everything in sight? Now, in his mind, he was single. So he's European. Europeans have more public displays of affection than we do in America. As I've said many times here on the Nostalgic Pod Blast, in British broadcast TV, they don't really care about a boobie here or there, a breast or two, but they sure don't like violence. Now, here in America, it's the opposite, at least in the old days. Now, it's like the Wild Wild West thanks to streaming. Now, streaming, of course, is uncensored for the most part. But in terms of the major networks, talking about ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox, a little thing called Fox, they're showing and getting away with a lot. Now, on cable TV, I noticed in recent years, you can say a-hole, you can say now S-H-I-T, on shows like On Patrol Live on the Reels channel and on streaming on Peacock. You know, they say everything but the F word, but sometimes an F word will slip in because it's live. But yeah, so Dawson, getting back to my Dawson point, yeah, I mean, I will sort of defend him. Different generation, Europeans, you know, look at the Benny Hill show. I mean, it's just a different culture. But I agree. Kissing like an obvious, like 9-year-old girl on the lips is bizarre. I will give you that point. And it does make me wince when I watch a rerun on Buzzer when he does that. Innocent, yes, but just by today's standards, it's even then. I mean, I know Mom never liked him. My folks didn't watch Family Feud. They like Jeopardy. They're more highbrow. But they didn't care for his style even back then. Okay, so Kay Moonen said, you'll find that censorship of most Japanese programs is inconsistent, like I was saying earlier. Some of it downright makes no sense. Let's get to another Space Giants clip in a second, because that's what I advertise. This will be a Space Giants Pod Blast. And again, I'm not trying to ram Space Giants down your throat, but look, I'm going to start resuming with episode 29 in January, here in January 2025 at some point, but certainly before the middle of the month, probably second week of January, I'm going to start resuming weekly uploads until I run out of episodes, and then I'll start Spectre-Man from 1971. Tracy's Fractured History and More YouTube channel says, I thought Richard Dawson was from a certain time and place that are stuck with him over there. And now, you know, they kiss on the cheeks or whatever. Just a general form of saying hello in his book. Yeah. Look at the French. I mean, guys kiss each other. And there's nothing wrong with that. Danny Staten says, I know, Tracy. Bozo was a stupid TV clown that showed cartoons on a kiddie show. My little sister watched it. Not me. Atlantium says, unknown newsman presented the news wearing a grocery bag over his head, like the unknown comic on The Gong Show. Interesting. Now you piqued my curiosity on this. I got to look that up. What? Let me put his comment up. Put the wrong one. The unknown newsman presented the news wearing a grocery bag over his head. A riff on the unknown comic. I should have read ahead. You did mention the unknown comic from The Gong Show, who was also a thing at the time. And yes, we do remember Bill Tush. Yeah, Bill Tush is still around here in Atlanta. I'm an acquaintance of his. He worked with the friend of the show, Al Hardy and Tom Williams. Al Hardy was my co-host when the Pod Blast began. This show began on June 15th, 2019. And we worked together at Cumulus Media for like 5 years here in the Atlanta market number 8. Or is it number 7? Yeah, I think it's number 7 by now in the USA. Yeah, I loved The Gong Show. That's something, because of music rights, it can't run anymore. It's such a shame. The lawyers have ruined. Going back to WKRP in Cincinnati, remember the music debacle with that show in terms of home video releases? The Gong Show and Name That Tune are two game shows. Some would say The Gong Show is not a game show. I'll call it a game show. It used to run on the Game Show Network when the Game Show Network premiered in 1994. I don't know if it was in the first year, but it was early on. They would air it. Chuck Barris, the host, who claims to be a CIA agent, or some say he was a CIA agent. That's another story. But I would love to see The Gong Show and Name That Tune. And you know who sang the songs on Name That Tune, hosted by Tom Kennedy? Kathy Lee Johnson, later known as Kathy Lee Gifford. Sure enough. And she had like a little Dorothy Hamill bob cut. Tracy said Bozo was the inspiration for Krusty the Clown on The Simpsons. Yes. And do you remember a Bewitched episode from season 3, the first color season, with Ho-Ho the Clown? It was a take on Bozo the Clown when little Tabitha went to the set and they were in front row and she started performing her magic. And she caused the little clown, Ho-Ho the Clown, some mental anguish. And he was doubting his reality of what he saw. Steve Russo said, you're welcome. He's in Massachusetts State. Joe Gutfeld says, I don't celebrate both. That's cool. Happy Hanukkah, sir. Just the Jewish holidays. Yeah. The Torah in Judaism. That's cool. That's your Bible. Atlantium says, brace yourself. Bill Tush and the Unknown Newsman, WTCG 1979. I love Tush, his talk show. Here in Atlanta, he runs a movie theater called, I'll give him a plug, the Sandy Springs Cinema and Tap House. They have a liquor license. They have a food license, although they shouldn't. I'm kidding. They have pretty good food. It's better than bar food. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Don't blast the messenger. But it's pretty good. If you're in the Atlanta, Georgia area and Sandy Springs, Georgia, you might want to check it out. State of the art, multi-million-dollar renovation. It used to be a general cinema theater. Then it was a LaFont theater. Now it's been renovated yet again as Sandy Springs Cinema and Tap House. The most plush seats you can imagine, heated seats, total comfort, total luxury. Their popcorn is excellent. I'm a big popcorn snob and connoisseur. Can't stand AMC chain theater popcorn, but I'll get it if I have to. If I'm there, if I have a free pass or something, I'll get it. Or if I have a gift card, I'll get it. But I like Regal Cinema popcorn. I like Georgia Theater Company popcorn. I like NCG Cinemas popcorn. And I like Sandy Springs Cinema and Tap House's popcorn. That's just me. Let's see. Esmeralda said, I did not know that. Like Johnny Carson. I love Krusty the Clown's one of my favorites on the show. Oh, I'm way back because Tracy's talking about Harry Carey was always drunk. Yeah, holy cow, it's a hit. Or I'm thinking of remember that ad? It ran on GN all the time for the money store. Anyway, let me just go on and get back to Space Giants. Joe Gutfeld says WWOR used to show a lot of movies, not anymore. Yeah, and BJ and the Bear. I tried to upload a BJ and the Bear episode. Actually, I did. Universal owns that show. Comcast, Xfinity, Universal. They don't mind if it airs in England, or streams rather, on YouTube in England, but not in the USA. Blocked from the USA. Same with $6 Million Man. I think that's most of their TV shows. They don't want you. But I don't get why it's in the vault. BJ and the Bear. Yes, it was a bad show, depending on your point of view. I liked it for the TNA factor. I'm not trying to sound creepy. It had really pretty ladies. And, I mean, Greg Evigan was a good-looking man, good-looking male for the women viewers. The plots were ridiculous. Some episodes were better than others. It's kind of like Fall Guy. It's cheese, right? It was more cheesy than Fall Guy, BJ and the Bear. But I liked the little chimpanzee, the trained chimpanzee bear, named after Bear Bryant in the storyline. And I don't know if you know this, BJ's character, Billy Joe McKay, was a Vietnam veteran. And there was a great episode titled Siege from season 2 of BJ and the Bear, where the Country Comfort truck stop, his hangout, was taken over by terrorists, domestic terrorists. And Marky Post, God rest her soul, was in that as the reigning Miss Country Comfort. They're having a beauty pageant when the terrorists take over. And she has to give up her crown to someone else who wins the pageant in that episode. And who else is in that is the great Charles Napier, who is a veteran actor, seen in the original Star Trek hippie episode from season 3, The Way to Eden. Strumming on to Eden, yeah, brother. And he was in The Cable Guy, played the cop. Sing us a song. Charles Napier, you've seen him, but he played Hammer in BJ and the Bear, renegade trucker, nemesis to Billy Joe McKay, BJ McKay. But he came through and teamed up with BJ to overthrow the terrorists that took over the Country Comfort in Siege. If you're in England, you can watch it on my YouTube channel. You can't in America. I uploaded it. I just love that episode. And who else is in that is Jeffrey Lewis. That's Juliette Lewis's father. He's deceased now. He did all those Clint Eastwood movies of the late 70s, early 80s. Well, a few anyway. He did the Any Which Way You Can, Every Which Way But Loose movies with Clint, and Bronco Billy, underrated movie I love. He was in that too. And he was in Salem's Lot. You've seen him. You know, just look him up if you don't know who I'm talking about. Jeffrey Lewis. He was the lead terrorist in that BJ and the Bear episode. And by then he was a movie star. So I liked it when movie stars did TV shows. They weren't too big for their britches. I guess he wasn't a star. He was more like a character actor, co-star, because Clint Eastwood was the star of the movies he did. But I think he was a star, and he worked out all the time. He's in great shape. But he did a lot of television, even though he was a big screen actor. And a lot of times, you know, once actors graduated to the big screen, they didn't do TV anymore. They didn't do TV no more. All right, let's see. Steve Russo said WOR's history of moving from New York to just over the state line to Secaucus, New Jersey is explained on Wikipedia. So it has been both city of license as New York City and Secaucus, New Jersey. Thank you for that information. There you go. So I thought so, because I know it by 1995 definitely had already transitioned over to Secaucus, New Jersey. Steve Russo also says, I think more important than upgrading the Space Giants visually is to find the missing English tracks. Wholeheartedly agree with you, sir. And I'm on a mission to find them. I found a lot of 16 millimeter film elements, but there's some tracks that are still missing. And my friend Al Hardy had every single print that TBS had on 16 millimeter film. He sold them in the mid 1990s to a guy who's now dead named Tom Hudgens in the state of Virginia. That's the last known location. And he probably sold them quickly. He just flipped films. So he probably sold them way back then. Who knows where they went? Who knows if they went vinegar? Sometimes some film prints on acetate film stock will develop something called the vinegar syndrome, where the chemicals in the film stock will break down, and it'll shrink the film sprockets and shrink the film where you can't play it, and it just erodes to nothing. So it doesn't happen all the time, but collecting film, it's a lot like playing Russian roulette. You never know which film print, if it's acetate film stock, will go bad. So it's important to digitally transfer as much film as you can. If you have something rare that's only on 16 millimeter or 35 millimeter film, get it digitally transferred before it's too late. Yeah, so I'm on a mission too, Steve, to find those English tracks. If I could locate who found those episodes, all 52 half-hour episodes. And what Al Hardy would do when they would have to cut scenes for commercial time, not for violent content, but scenes were actually translated officially into English for Lakeside Television with the likes of Paul Hecht, the voice talent. He would cut the scene and then put it at the end of the reel. I actually have a Gomer Pyle USMC film reel from WTCG that Al Hardy handled, and it has the cut scene after the end credits on the reel. And so those prints that he sold had all that, probably the cut scenes. Man, that's the holy grail of Space Giants, finding that. Let me see if I can find that. The film print I want to show you where it says on the film can, property of WTCG, WTBS. I should play a clip while I do this. I don't know where that reel is. I don't want to have a lull. Hang on. Let me play a clip. And I got to do my other translation, which I have not rehearsed, so I'll probably really choke at it. I'll just play this. It's a promo for the Highwayman. I've played this before. Those that are regular viewers or listeners of the Nostalgic Pop. Let me just play this just so I can find that film real quick.
When there's terror on the highway and danger in the fast lane,
Leave me alone!
it's time for a new breed of lawmen to hit the road. These lawmen ride the highway with a vengeance.
Who are these two men?
Sam Jones is the highwayman.
Take a step on the wrong side of the law, you get me on your tail.
Jacko is Jetto.
Bad luck.
Together,
We're assault. And battery!
ride with the ultimate road warrior.
The highwayman. Get out!
Dealing justice in a world gone bad.
Watch us!
Two guys out to energize your Friday.
Aye!
Coming in 4 days, the highwayman.
They say he came into this world from someplace off the clock. That his mother was an ice-cold wind, his paw a fiery rock. It's told that on some starless nights his rig could up and glow, and folks who say they saw it coming swear they didn't see it go. Now you hear a lot of legends told when you ride the long, hard slab, of some who say the man is good and some who say he's bad. But all agree who've ever tried to play a cheating hand, you only get one chance to draw against the highwayman.
All that for nothing. I hope you enjoyed that clip. I like it. I can't find the doggone reel right now. Damn. Oh, well, let me get back on track. Oh, all hell broke loose trying to find that. Before the end of the show, if I remember, I'll try to find that reel. But it's kind of neat because it shows the WTCG, property of WTCG Atlanta on the side of the can. It's a Gomer Pyle episode, black and white episode with Gomer's buddy. All right, let me change the camera shot. Ooh, let me get back to the comments here. Where'd I leave off? Get back to the Space Giants. I'm way off track. Okay. Sorry, chat, if I missed something. I'm bouncing in and out cooking dinner. Hey, Esmeralda in Washington State. That junk man said, I used to rush home from school to watch Space Giants. It started at 3 o'clock. School got out at 2:45. It was on WTBS. Yes, sir. And I used to love to watch Speed Racer and the Flintstones as part of that after school afternoon block on WTCG. And I was kind of upset when they replaced the Space Giants with Spectreman. And then at one point, before they took off Space Giants entirely, they replaced it with Charlie's Angels. And I was like, no. This is before I turned, puberty. No, I don't want to see these names. I'm kidding. I don't like using that word. But I was like, oh no. And that didn't last. I bet the ratings tanked or they got complaints. And then they played Addams Family also. And I wasn't thrilled with that. I back then I didn't really care for black and white TV shows. I'm like, put the Space Giants back on. But they eventually did replace Space Giants with Spectreman, like long term. I'm driving myself crazy trying to find that doggone reel because it is kind of historic and neat. Oh man, I know I didn't sell it. No, let me get back to the chat. Change the camera shot here in a minute. All right, so yeah, I agree, man. Space Giants, that was the you know what. My mom taught pretty far away at Sugar Hill Elementary, and we lived in Decatur and then Marietta, and it was a tough commute. So and when I was in readiness before first grade, we were at the same school. She was teaching second grade, fifth grade. Long story short, I never got home in time to watch Space Giants unless she was visiting her teacher friend, Mary. So it was always a treat. And then eventually she transferred to, nobody cares, but the Cobb County school system, where I could get home in time and watch Space Giants on TV after school. Okay. That Junkman says, Bill Tush has an old skit show on YouTube. It's pretty funny. It has Jan Hooks on it. Yeah, Tush. That's a show called Tush that ran on TBS. Talked about it earlier. Funny show. Burt Reynolds was on there. When he was in town in Atlanta in those days filming Sharky's Machine, which he directed and starred in, he appeared on the Tush show. Another great guy, God rest his soul, who didn't have such an inflated ego that they wouldn't do television, and certainly not cable television. He would go on Match Game. I remember back in the 1974, he went on Match Game. Burt Reynolds did. Just made a cameo appearance, and he was already a big movie star. Remember him on Gunsmoke? He played an engine on Gunsmoke. Their term, not mine. A good Indian, American Indian. And then he left the show before it went to color. I think he was not on the last black and white season, if memory serves. Steve Russo, if you're still out there, fact check me. I'm just going by memory, not a script. So I don't want to misspeak here. Junkman adds, it was a mad rush. Sadly, it's not as good as memory. I'll try to watch it now. That Junkman did a Space Giants video, right? I featured it. I did a Space Giants documentary a little while ago, and I showed your entire piece. I loved it, where you said it was a show for me. It wasn't for my parents or my siblings. It was for me. That's how I felt. It was like our soap opera, right? That Junkman, go to his channel, subscribe. I don't know if any of my angels, my moderators are here. Please link up his channel. I did feature your entire thing. Of course, gave you full credit. That was a great documentary you did, talking about Rodak, and it was a fight for freedom. I like some of the things you said in your documentary. Anyone that wants to watch that piece, go to that Junkman's YouTube channel, or I pieced it on my documentary with this thumbnail image. What the heck is it? Let me show you the thumbnail. I showed it before, but let me. God, this thing they met StreamYard. Okay, here it is. Hang on a second. Clips, pics. Oh, geez. Is this thing on the air? I had a little mess up. Oh, I see. I'm not in media. Duh. All right. Here comes the picture of the thumbnail image, which features that Junkman's piece. But it mainly go to his channel and watch it directly. But I put together all sorts of sources. This is the thumbnail image to look for on the Nostalgic Pod Blast YouTube channel. Click videos and look for the image of Rodak terrorizing the Mura family from the pilot first episode of the Space Giants, known as Ambassador Magma in Japan. Yeah, man, you did a killer job on that. And getting back to the topic at hand. Charles Napier. He was also in Rambo 2. Yeah, Rambo and Silence of the Lambs. Oh, he's done a ton of stuff. He's a great underrated actor. God rest his soul. Steve Russo said the reason a lot of Universal shows haven't been seen in years is when they had the vault fire at Universal, they didn't lose the master negatives, but the syndication tapes and prints. And the studio doesn't want to spend money to make new transfers when they don't have TV deals lined up. This is why Laramie and the Men from Shiloh wasn't seen in years till they had the TV deals with the Western channels. Yeah, the Men from Shiloh was the Virginian, repackaged and retitled back then. Yeah, good stuff, man. He knows his stuff, Steve Russo. That's pretty cool. I'll leave that comment on the screen. That's good. Bye, K. Moonin in Florida State. Appreciate you checking in. I got way off topic of Space Giants. Sam Combs says, the Space Giants was fantastic. I caught it on TBS, 2 episodes back-to-back, Monday through Friday. I thought it was just 1. I'm not doubting your word. I'm not aware of that. That's pretty cool. I thought they only played 1 Monday through Friday daily. Let me start over with your comment. Sam Combs, welcome, says Space Giants was fantastic. I caught it on TBS, 2 episodes back-to-back, Monday through Friday. Rodak was my favorite character, especially his theme music. Silvar, she was underutilized. She kicked, she kicked ass. Lugo ass. She kicked Lugo. She sure did. Tracy's Fractured History More, getting back to my 16mm film comment. Vinegar is film's worst nightmare. It sure is, and it sure is for a film collector as well. Like I have the series on 16mm, and they have little trailers before the opening credits, perfect color, that were cut from the Warner Brothers official DVD release from 2005, I think it was, or 2004. They never released those on Blu-ray. They did release V, the series with the lizard aliens, and V, the final battle, but they never to date have not released V, the series, which lasted 19 one-hour episodes. I've got a bunch on 16mm film, and I love the little trailer. It's just like the trailer of Wonder Woman in the 8 season 2 episodes. The first 8 episodes of season 2 of Linda Carter's Wonder Woman from fall of 77 had these great 30-second trailers just before the opening credits that were cut from the DVD and the Blu-ray. And they claimed Warner Brothers did that Wonder Woman was remastered for Blu-ray. It was just basically 1080p of the old DVD releases. And they also cut out the 2-parter recaps, which sometimes had alternate takes of scenes. And they cut out this is Linda Carter. Here are some scenes from the exciting conclusion of the Feminine Mystique. I have 16mm film prints of Wonder Woman, mint color Feminine Mystique, which introduced Deborah Winger as Wonder Girl. And it has this great trailer. I need to put that on my channel. I'll just film it from my phone. I'll put that on I have that too with the Tim O'Connor 2-parter, Judgment from Outer Space. Again, it's like there's a nice little voiceover from Linda Carter. It never made it to syndication, never made it to DVD or Blu-ray or streaming, because these streaming operations just basically stream the Blu-rays and the DVDs, those releases, So V, yeah, my V episodes are treasured, and I pray they don't go vinegar. Tracy says, did you know that Hollywood actually Did you know that Hollywood actually stores a lot of old vintage movies in a cave somewhere in California because it's dark and it's dry and no sunlight gets in? Talk about a vault. That's a natural vault. Pretty cool. And that junk man says, remember those bad guys on Space Giants? They would melt. I love that as a kid. Yes, the Lugo Men. I played a clip of it of Gam melting them. Yeah, that's a cool effect. I don't know if they used like oatmeal that they colored blue, or if it was Mr. Bubble tainted blue, like bubble bath. I don't know what it was, but it sure looked cool. And I love the sound effect too. Excuse me, I need a cough button. That's got to be William Conrad narrating Highwayman. It was Atlanteum. It was, and he was the original Marshal Matt Dillon in the radio play of Gunsmoke. The cast and directors didn't think he'd make a good Marshal Matt Dillon on television, so James Arness took that role. But for a while in the early days of Gunsmoke on TV, you still had the radio drama that William Conrad, who also narrated The Fugitive, and I have on 16 millimeter film, The Fugitive, The Judgment, parts 1 and 2 with the original commercials on 16 millimeter film. Those are two prized reels of my 16 millimeter film library. Love it. And there's a funny cigarette ad with Deanna Lund, a cigarette commercial for Bel Air cigarettes. And she goes, just the right touch. And she was the redhead from Land of the Giants. She was kind of like the Ginger of Land of the Giants, the Gilligan's Island Ginger. It was kind of like, they kind of stole that because her character was an actress too, a famous actress, just like Ginger Grant was in Gilligan's Island when they got marooned on that island in the South Pacific near Hawaii on that 3-hour tour. Land of the Giants, same concept. Irwin Allen stole it from Sherwood Schwartz and just set it on a planet of giants. Anyway, all right, now I'm getting all over the place here with my top commentary. The Junkman said, that Junkman YouTube channel, anyone remember a show on WTBS in the mornings that was live action skits and stuff with cartoons mixed in? All I remember, it was a maid and it's killing me. All I remember is it was made and it's killing me. Had to be late 70s, early 80s. Anyone remember a show on WTBS in the mornings that was live action skits and stuff with cartoons mixed in? Sounds like Tune In With Me on MeTV these days, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. They do a great job with that show. Trying to think. All I know is I remember watching Lost in Space on TBS. See, before my folks in the late 70s got cable where you had HBO and Showtime, we still had rabbit ears. I think they didn't get cable till 1980. I remember the first movie I saw on HBO was Somewhere in Time, starring Chris Reeve and Jane Seymour. Great movie. Tearjerker, right? Time travel, romantic movie. Jeanette Schwartz directed it, who directed Supergirl in 1984 and Jaws 2 and other things. Great, great underrated movie. Awesome score, musical score. Anyway, my point was, on Sunday, all you had were boring church shows except TBS. TBS, I could watch Lost in Space. I could watch Hazel. They had really good programming. After like the Big Blue Marble, that was an educational program TBS aired in those days in like the early 80s, the Big Blue Marble. But no, man, I'm going to research that, Mr. Junkman, that Junkman. That Junkman, you're not talking about Banana Split's comments Atlantium. That was early 1960s. That was late 1960s to early 1970s. And some of the Banana Split skits were directed by Richard Donner, who directed The Omen, Superman the Movie, Lethal Weapon, Conspiracy Theory, and a whole host of other movies like The Goonies. I mean, can you believe that? He did that. But he also directed episodes of season 1 of Gilligan's Island, Richard Donner did. He directed a great Fugitive episode, Wife Killer, from season 3, the last black and white season, featuring the one-arm man, the only episode with the one-arm man in season 3 of The Fugitive, directed by Richard Donner. Oh, but that Junkman says back to Atlantium. No, it was a local thing, like WGN Chicago's Bozo Show. Yeah, so it was live action mixed with clips. I remember on WVEU TV 69 here in Atlanta, you had a show like that with a guy and a toy robot that I have somewhere, a talking robot, just a remote-controlled cheap robot, which was seen in the Incredible Hulk episode Captive Night in season 3, where Banner's in a department store after hours with thieves, with robbers. The little white remote-controlled robot. Anyway, this guy did a bit introducing episodes of Space 1999 and Jerry Anderson's otherwise known as UFO. It looks like letter U, letter F, letter O, but in the show in England, they pronounce it UFO. It's like an enemy, a foe, but it was spelled UFO. Anyway, they introduced and made crap out of Space 1999. I remember an episode of Space 1999 they introduced, I'll never forget it, have it on videotape somewhere, where this guy, and he looked like a heavy metal rocker, long hair, the human with the robot, and they would show a scene from Space 1999, The Last Sunset, season 1 episode, where Commander Koenig is in a fight with a character, one of his trusted executives on Moonbase Alpha, who's been possessed by a space mushroom. He's doped up. You know, he drank this water. These aliens gave the moon a temporary atmosphere so they could go out and have a spring break, as it were. And he winds up, one of the Eagles crashes on a reconnaissance mission, and they go into a cloud with a storm brewing, and lightning knocks out the eagle. It crashes. And so Paul Morrow, like the second in command of Moonbase Alpha in season 1, has to find water for his girlfriend who suffered from a concussion from the crash of the Eagle ship. And he finds this mushroom, and it gives him temporary energy, but also causes hallucination. So he gets into a fight with Commander Koenig. And at the beginning of the fight, like, Martin Landau, who plays Commander Koenig, just pushes Paul Morrow, and the guy in TV 69, WVU Atlanta, goes, "Look at this wimpy push by Martin Landau. Oh, big tough guy." And he shows like this little push right before the fight begins. I'm just putting it out there in case you know what I'm talking about. It's on the official Space 1999 24/7 marathon in production order by Shout Studios. Look for season 1, The Last Sunset, and look for the climactic fight between Commander Koenig, played by Martin Landau, and Paul Morrow, played by Prentice Hancock. Thanks, man. I will check out your Space Giants for sure. Yeah, it was my pleasure. And I didn't know how to reach out to you in advance to say, hey, man, I'm going to feature your entire documentary on the Space Giants. I loved it. It was passionate. It was from the heart. And we Space Giants fans have to stick together and form a union of some kind. We really do. So I'm glad you found my stream tonight. I'm going to get back. I'm going to translate another one on the fly. Again, if you're late, a real Japanese woman, Japanese American, because she speaks fluent English as well as Japanese, whom I met on a movie set when we were doing stand-in work. Her name is Akiko. I'll show you what she looks like. She came to my home and translated scenes for me that I showed her of the Space Giants. And this is Akiko, just as proof that this is literal translations. I'm not just BSing you. These are scenes that have never been translated. That's Akiko. She lives in Japan now. I'm going to send her this video after it's live through a Facebook Messenger to let her know that I gave her full credit for these translations. So we're going to watch another scene in a minute. But let me get back to the comments and we'll get back on track. All right. The Loyal Order of Classic TV. Welcome, welcome. Says Gunsmoke was actually Burt Reynolds' first TV series. He was on the first season of Darren McGavin's Riverboat from 1959 to 1960. And he was fired. Fired from Gunsmoke or fired from Riverboat? I didn't know he was fired from Gunsmoke. I'm going to assume you mean Riverboat, but if you're still there, please elaborate. Tracy's Fractured History and More says, are there any Space Giants collectible merchandise out there? There is. Most of it didn't leave the island of Japan. Per Open by Chance YouTube channel, David Eon did a live video. They go live on weekends. It's a husband and wife team. They're awesome. They do live video summaries. They do video summaries of conventions they attend. They shoot 4K video at toy conventions, comic book conventions, and music vinyl record conventions. And it makes you feel like you're there. Well, in one of their videos, one of their live streams, David said that most of the Space Giants collectibles never left Japan. Now, of course, with eBay, you'll pay thousands of dollars to get some of this stuff. But there was a whistle, Miko's whistle. That's what I want. I haven't really actively sought it out. I do have a Goldar figure. I need to show. I've never shown it live on the air. That I do have a Goldar figure. And he's sealed. He's in plastic. I've never opened them. And there's Rodak figurines. There's one of Rodak's spaceship. I love his spaceship. It looks like a bat. So there is some limited merchandise out there. Both retro and some vintage from when it was on the air, but there's some that was produced after the show was off the air. And there is a comic book from 1979, which I have, a one-shot comic book, and then there was a comic book from 1993 based on the Space Giants. I've shown it before. It's in my documentary that I referred the Junkman to, where I featured his content. Atlantium says, anyone remember the Friday Night Frights show on WTCG, WTBS? Yes, it featured really funky jazz kind of opening theme music. Yes, and I wish Al Hardy were here. He worked at TBS from 1976 until 1991. He's a friend of mine. And then Tom Williams directed a lot of content. He worked like toward the later years. But Al is really like the veteran of WTCG. He was there for the transition from WTCG into WTBS. He was the guy running the projector. That's how reruns used to be shown back in the day. It was on 16 millimeter film, before the syndicators and studios switched to videotape. And now, of course, everything's digital, and they're digitizing video like Buzzer, the Buzzer Classic Game Show Network does. They're constantly converting the Goodson-Todman game show library from videotape to a digital format so they can broadcast it. I don't understand that. I guess they upgraded their systems. It's too bad they didn't keep a video machine like GSN in the 90s and early 2000s were still using video. It's too bad they can't do that. It would save a lot of time. I'm going off on a tangent. Buzzer Network, I love their programming. They've gotten better, but they'll refresh, as they call it, episodes of, say, Classic Concentration. Then they'll revert back to the same tired episodes they've played again and again and again and broadcast again and again and again. And I don't like that. It seems like you should have converted it before you launched the network back in 2015. That's when Buzzer began. But I love Buzzer. There is that Junkman's YouTube channel. Thank you, Tracy's Fractured History and More. Please subscribe to his channel. Junkman said, I also wanted a Space Giants whistle like that when I was a kid so bad. Yes, and you said that in your mini documentary, The Space Giants, on your fine channel. The Loyal Order of Classic TV said many half-hour Gunsmoke TV episodes were remakes of radio episodes. That's correct. And I remember it was a half-hour show, of course, before it became a 1-hour format, in a 1-hour TV episodic format. Oh, thank you, Esmeralda. All right, let's see. That Junkman says, got to go make a video. Good stream. I'll have to check out. Thank you so much, man. I mean, I found a lot of Space Giants material from other content creators like you. Thanks for finding my channel. I've subscribed to your channel a long time ago. I will watch the video you're working on right now. And Trekkers, I can't wait to tell you about a great YouTube channel called Me Go Star Trek. I'm going to play a clip. He's found classic Star Trek cut scenes, and he's putting them on his channel. He just started recently. Amazing stuff that's never been seen before from classic Star Trek episodes like The City on the Edge of Forever. I'll play a clip later. Let me get back to the Space Giants. Loyal Order of Classic TV. 2 words about Space 1999. Fred Freiberger. Yes, Fred Freiberger was the executive producer of the final seasons of Star Trek, The Wild Wild West, and other shows. And a lot of people said, like Space 1999, that he offered the kiss of death to any show that he joined. He always seemed to join the last season, and he made changes that killed the show in a lot of people's minds. I like season 2 of Space 1999. Season 1 of Space 1999 had some dog episodes too, if you want to be fair about it. Hell, even in the very first episode, Breakaway, if you watch the pre-opening credit sequence right before the opening credits roll, when the astronaut is infected by the virus infection and a fight breaks out, watch the guy that gets thrown. The guy that throws the dude, his visor flies up, which would have caused instant decompression death in reality. And no one on the crew caught that. But in terms of the plots, The Missing Link, I think, is a very illogical episode, although it's got its moments. Definitely has great moments. But a terrible one is the Full Circle, where the Alphans go into a mist and they revert back to cave people, but their clothes revert to animal skins and then revert back when they come out of the mist. Come on now. Now, that episode did have some great moments, no doubt. But that was really strange writing. But yeah, season 2 has episodes that get panned a lot. Another season 1 episode I couldn't stand, which I appreciate more than I used to, is Ring Around the Moon. I thought it was really slow. Ooh, I messed my sign up when I was digging for that. Yep. That Gomer Pyle film. But yeah, I hear you. That's a funny joke. The Loyal Order of Classic TV, Fred Freiberger. Yes. I didn't like how they changed the Star Trek uniforms in season 3. It was too snug. William Shatner looked heavier and plumper in season 3 of Star Trek because of the refit. I don't know if William Thies did that, William Ware Thies, or who, but I didn't like the season 3 episodes in Star Trek, the original series. The Show Killer, Fred Freiberger, said Atlantanium. And Dorian 323 said, I loved imitating Gam's fighting moves back in the day. Inspirational. Who needs judo lessons when you had Gam to watch? I'm serious. I love that fighting. It got reversed. Bert was fired from Riverboat. That's what I thought, because I would have remembered reading him getting fired from Gunsmoke. He left on his own accord. Yeah. The Loyal Order of Classic TV said a lot of the Goodson-Todman 16mm kinescopes have been transferred to digital formats. Correct. I love watching To Tell the Truth kinescopes, and I've Got a Secret, which air sometimes late night. They change their schedules often on Buzzer, as does MeTV, Antenna TV, and the like, the Diginets, as I call them. You're absolutely correct. And I love those too. Those are from film. And they leave the ads in. It's so fun to see the old commercials. And the promos on Buzzer and MeTV are so creative. I think whoever designs and writes and edits those, they're geniuses. The Loyal Order of Classic TV commented, I recall someone had uploaded Space Giants remastered from decent prints up on YouTube, but YouTube took them down. They had subtitles for the missing dialogue. Yes, I remember those too. They didn't have as many English tracks as mine. Now, I'm using Laserdisc. I know my visual quality is inferior to that. I don't have the Blu-rays. I'm going to get them, but mine are not bad. And they have more English tracks because I have 16mm film prints in my collection that I've digitally remastered, and not remastered, but digitally transferred, I should say. So you can hear more English. And I have promos. I have next week promos that never aired on TBS, except for one. At the end of the second episode of Space Giants, there was a promo. I'm sorry, at the end of the very first episode of the Space Giants, there was a promo for the second episode of the Space Giants. And it confused me because they left in the title Monsters from Outer Space. Paul Hecht, as narrator, said, in the next episode of Monsters from Outer Space. And as a kid, I thought, no, the show's called the Space Giants. Well, now I know in 1972, it was packaged for the first time in syndication as Monsters from Outer Space. And I put as an Easter egg in one of my Space Giants episodic uploads, real good. Let me slow down and take a breath. As an Easter egg in one of my Space Giants episodes uploads, I put the Monsters from Outer Space opening and ending credits by Lakeside Television. These next week previews were from the original Japanese airings, and they were translated into English in 1972. I found many of them, most of them on 16mm film. So in my uploads, I spliced in and I will edit in and have edited in that next week preview for that appropriate next episode. And nobody has those. It wasn't on the visually superior upload you just referenced. I wonder if YouTube took them down or if the channel took them down. Sometimes people can set videos to private. I mean, I don't know. It could be either case. Maybe they uploaded something that was copyright objectionable. The Space Giants is in the public domain, to my knowledge. So I don't think it was Space Giants that got them in trouble. I think it might have been something else, or they did it themselves. But that's a good point. Yes, and I do remember those uploads. I wish they were still up. I'm going to pick up the slack and do it my way with the original Space Giants opening and ending credits, which they did not have. They had the Japanese ones, and they certainly didn't have the next week preview. So you get more. You don't have the best visual quality, admittedly, but you have other things that make it worth your time to watch. Tracy's Fractured History More said, I wish they had better script writing in this third season of Star Trek. Yes. And The Children Shall Lead. Horrible episode. Spock's Brain. Horrible episode. But there were some good episodes in there. The Paradise Syndrome, where Kirk married, I can't say American Indian, the Space Indian, Miramani. And I'll get to that in a moment. We'll talk about classic Star Trek in a little bit. And I got a movie review in just a little bit. I'm a script doctor, not a brain surgeon, Tracy. Atlantium said to Tracy's Fractured History More as Dr. Leonard Bones McCoy. What did happen to Lakeside Television? That's a distributor out of New York City that went defunct some years ago in 1987. I'm back, said Joe Russo. What did I miss? Well, a whole lot of side talking about syndication. And I'm going to do my last clip of Space Giants, the cliffhanger from the end, for the first time in English, from the end of episode 15 of 52 half-hour Space Giants episodes. I've not rehearsed this. My timing will probably suck. Another thing I want to mention, there's a slight delay on my end with the StreamYard, so I know I'm off sometimes by a couple seconds, like when I translated in my Christmas live stream, the scene where Rodak murdered the preacher in church on Christmas Eve in episode 25 of the Space Giants, cut from American syndication for obvious reasons. I was off by a couple seconds. I did the best I could. Didn't rehearse it. I might try to redo that tonight before I sign off. I've gone an hour and 40 minutes. Only plan on going an hour. The Loyal Order of Classic TV just commented, the third season of Star Trek's problem is Gene Kuhn, the producer, had left, and Gene Roddenberry became disillusioned and was hands off. Yeah, and he also tried to promote that merchandising, that IDIC. What'd that stand for? Infinite Diversity. Spock had it around his neck in the 60-second produced episode, including both pilots. Is there in truth no beauty? Remember that necklace he had around his neck? IDIC, IDIC, Infinite Diversity, Infinite Combinations. I think that might be what it stood for. Tommy Davis says, do you like Punisher DC Comics? Well, I don't know what Punisher you're talking about. The Punisher is a Marvel Comics character introduced in Amazing Spider-Man issue 129, which I have in my collection. Frank Castle was the alter ego of the first Punisher. Is that who you're talking about? It was Marvel Comics introduced in Amazing Spider-Man 129. And you're going to see the Punisher in the new Daredevil Disney Plus streaming show in 2025, this year. The year we're in, wink, wink, if you're watching after we're live. As we're live, it's actually almost New Year's Eve 2025 into 2025. Atlantium also said, it's crazy how hard Gene Roddenberry fought to get Trek on the air, then abandoned it for a failed movie career at the last minute. Indeed, indeed. Yes, IDIC. Infinite Diversity, Infinite Combinations. I think that's what that stood for. Sorry, nothing to be sorry about, Tommy Davis. I'm glad you're here, brother. Awesome. Yeah, it's Amazing Spider-Man 129, an issue that also introduced the Jackal, which turned out to be Peter Parker's Professor Miles Warren, and he cloned Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy. He was a mad scientist that literally got the DNA of Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy, who had died in Amazing Spider-Man issue 121, and cloned her. And it really did Peter Parker's head in when the clone showed up in the comic books. I think in issue 144 of Amazing Spider-Man from 1974 and 75, you're dead. You can't be here. You're dead. Anyway. All right, let's get back to the Space Giants. I'm going to play a clip, and then I want to do my movie review of something that's in theaters now, a horror movie. And again, these translations come to you from this lovely lady, Akiko, who came to my home and translated these for me in 2018. There's still more I want her to translate, but she wound up moving to Japan. She's still mourning the death of her husband in an accident some years ago. Man, I mean, I hope she's found peace, and she was very, very depressed. I helped her move. When she put everything in storage, I helped her. Just sad story there, but just a beautiful lady. All right. Some more comments came in. I've got that issue of Spider-Man. Ross Andrew, it's with a U. Yeah. Andrew, it doesn't matter. Spelling doesn't count here. Andrew. Ross Andrew was drawing the Amazing Spider-Man back then. Yes, he was. And I love that run. Jerry Conway was writing them, but Jerry Conway pissed people off when he killed off Gwen Stacy in Amazing Spider-Man 121 when the Green Goblin threw her from the Brooklyn Bridge. And Peter Parker thought he killed her. It was later determined the shock of the fall caused her death, not Spidey firing his web. He thought he snapped her neck, and it actually says snap, like the recoil when she's flung from the bridge in the artwork, and he tries to save her from hitting the water, killing her. They've never done that right in the movies. Not yet. I can't wait for Daredevil. Yeah, that's going to be good. Daredevil on Disney Plus. Joe Russo says, I only watch The Wrath of Khan once a year. You know what? You just said the magic words. Let me play my favorite promo. I like this better than the theatrical trailer. This is the 1 minute Ernie Anderson narrated TV trailer, 1 minute long, for Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, 1985 network airing with extended scenes. Let's watch.
ABC premiere presentation.
Take her out.
The adventure continues.
You didn't expect to find me.
The deadliest criminal in the galaxy is on the loose.
He wants to kill me.
And the battle lines are drawn.
There he is.
William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy, and Ricardo Montalban.
Fire!
Star Trek II.
The big discovered. Kill him.
The Wrath of Khan, next.
Much more dynamic than the theatrical trailer, in my opinion. All right, I found the WTCG reel. I was looking, and I found it. Look at that. Property of WTCG. 1018 West Peachtree Street, Atlanta, Georgia, 30309. Our good friend Al Hardy. And look at that. Oh, my gosh. Viacom Enterprises. And look at that label. And I love the logo, the old 1970s Viacom logo. I should find it and play it. You know, the down, 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 down. It's kind of funky. Let's open the reel. Doesn't smell like vinegar, thank goodness. This is an uncut episode, but Al Hardy cut a 3-minute scene, cutting it from 25 minutes and some seconds to 22 minutes and a few seconds. And he put the cut scene at the very end of the reel. That's what he would do. Same with Lost in Space. He had all the Lost in Space from Turner. He had all the Idrimogenes from Turner. They were going to throw them away. He said, can I take them home? They said, sure. And he had all the Space Giants, which he sold in the 1990s. But I think this is a neat little thing there. I'm going to show you that again. I love that property of not this before WTBS, WTCG. And I have others too with that label that they're not as accessible right now, but Viacom Enterprises. How about that? Let me see if it has the episode title of Gomer Pyle. It's the one with Gomer's buddy. Oh, hell, I can't remember. Okay. Anyway, I might watch that tonight. I haven't watched that in years. Let's get to the Space Giants. Had some more comments come in. Oh, and that Star Trek II Wrath of Khan ABC presentation, there's alternate takes too of Admiral Kirk and Lieutenant Savick in the elevator. We learn by doing humor. Difficult concept. Kirstie Alley. She was on Match Game. You know, she hit it big. She linked up with Parker Stevenson from the Hardy Boys, Nancy Drew Mysteries on the Hardy Boys side. And what a role she got. And then she gave up Savick. What a role. But she did other cool movies like Runaway with Gene Simmons Tracy. I love that movie. Runaway, good thriller from 1983, I believe. Have it on DVD. Let me get back to the topic at hand here. Lord in heaven. Oh, and here's Al Hardy's WTCG identification. Look at that. That's my buddy. He's got gray hair now and no mustache, but there's his film editor ID. How about that? From May 12th, 1980. Pretty cool. All right. Let me get caught up on the comments. I left off here. Okay, right, Andrew. Yeah, spelling doesn't matter. I'm just a weirdo. What can I say? Akiko has my sympathies. Thank you. Yeah, very sweet lady. I'm not going to mention her last name just for her own privacy and protection. Probably should have asked her before I showed her image, her likeness, but I don't think she'd mind. I'm going to send this to her after. She's such a sweet lady. I wish she'd come back. She said she was going to go for just 2 months to visit her parents, and then she never came back. It's like, I certainly wasn't enough to keep her in America, that's for sure. But she was so awesome, I tell you. All right, let's get on here. Jaws is another story, says Joe Russo. Indeed. Raiders of the Lost Ark. You know, I was talking on another show I was on, Mongolian Monster, about Karen Allen from Raiders of the Lost Ark. Don't forget, she was in Animal House. She was the student that the professor had a romantic relationship in that film, played by, I blanked out then too, Donald Sutherland. He was the dope smoking Donald Sutherland professor. Donald Sutherland played the dope smoking professor in Animal House. And she did that movie. She did, of course, Scrooge years later, like in 1988, filmed in 87, released in 88, directed by Richard Donner, whom we talked about tonight. And she, of course, was Marion. And then she came back in Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. And she was in the pilot to Knots Landing. Right before Raiders of the Lost Ark was filmed, she was in the Dallas spinoff Knots Landing as Sid's troubled, not adult child, but I think she was like 18 or 19 years old, late teenager. In the pilot, her character was horrible in that Knots Landing pilot, which was released on DVD. It aired in the middle of season 3 of Dallas as a spinoff, and it featured Gary Ewing, the timid Ewing brother, who wanted nothing to do with the oil business. He was played by a different actor when the character was introduced in the season 2 premiere of Dallas. They recast him with Ted Shackelford, who later did Police Precinct for Jerry Anderson, which is streaming on the official Shout Studios channel, YouTube channel for Police Precinct. Ted Shackelford, he had done a Wonder Woman with the actress who played Valine in Knots Landing and Dallas. She was first introduced as Lucy's mother in season 2 of Dallas. She was a waitress who JR had run off. And that is Joan Van Ark is that actress. Well, Joan Van Ark played a woman from the future in season 3 of Wonder Woman in an episode titled Time Bomb, where Ted Shackelford's playing a good guy trying to bring her back. She goes back into time to the year 1978 to get rich with the knowledge and the technology that she has. I love the plot of this episode of Wonder Woman. And Ted Shackelford played the guy trying to bring her to justice in the future. And she creates a source of energy that unfortunately will cause a lot of people to die in a big mushroom cloud when it's first discovered in a cave in a mine. But they had great chemistry together. And apparently a casting director on the Dallas side recast Ted Shackelford, Ted Shackelford, yes, I can speak, as Gary Ewing, replacing the original actor. But Valine was always played by Joan Van Ark from Wonder Woman and Dallas and Knots Landing. Anyway, and she's had horrible plastic surgery since then. God bless her. I mean, for years, she's looked like just a crazy fish. It's terrible. Don't do that. Age naturally, like Susan Day, like Lindsay Wagner. There's no need to do that, ladies. Look how gorgeous they look to this day. And they've aged gracefully, naturally, those actresses, as an example. I can get back to the Space Giants. I've gone way off course here. Yeah. Akiko. Yeah. I was going to show a picture of her widow, but I didn't think it would be right without her permission. So I didn't show him. God rest his soul. But I guess she's heartbroken, never to love again. I mean, in terms of marriage, God, who knows? I can't speak for it now. I'm gossiping. Boy, Akiko, if you see this, I'm going to send you the link. I'm sorry. I miss you. I wish you'd come back for the Space Giants translations. All right. And more. I'm kidding. The Wrath of Khan was the best movie of the Star Trek series, says Joe Gutfield, New York State, even though I also love Star Trek 4 as well. Yeah, I like Star Trek 4 better. I know that's sacrilege for a lot of people, just because that's what turned me on to Star Trek. I was a teenager back then when it was in movie theaters. Wasn't a Trekkie, wasn't a Trekker, but I became one because of that movie. But yeah, my favorites are 4 and then 2 and then 6. And my brother-in-law gave me Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country on Laserdisc for Christmas this year. Kind of nice. And then the Search for Spock. Only thing with Search for Spock I didn't like, of course, I didn't like that Savick was recast, although I do like Robin Curtis in the role. It's different. But I didn't like the scene in the bar. It was too much like a ripoff of the cantina scene from Star Wars 1978. Remember, there's a scene in a bar with aliens, and there's a terrible alien where you can see the actor's bottom lip. It was like Space Giant. It was like the Rodak mask. But in a major motion picture like that, that alien, remember when they're trying to get information about the Genesis device and they wind up stealing the Excelsior and sabotaging it? Montgomery Scott. I might as well tell you about this channel. I know I mentioned earlier, you've got to subscribe and check out Mego Star Trek. MEGO, like the toy, Mego Star Trek. This guy has found and published missing scenes never seen before, alternate takes, cut scenes from the original Star Trek. It's blowing my mind. I'll play one in a little bit. All right, let me keep going here. That's old school, said Tommy Davis. No biggie. Wow, that's cool. I have the Space Seed episode of Star Trek on the original VHS tape. Joe Gutfeld, yes. Now I've got to ask you which tape you talking about, because they released that on the original Laserdisc to promote The Wrath of Khan in 1982. Before they went back and remastered them, they were like really dark looking prints. They had good color, but really dark prints, like horrible prints. All right. Did it look like this? Did it look like that? Let me know, Joe Gutfield. Did the box look like that for your Space Seed episode? Because there's one even earlier than that. They released Space Seed and Let That Be Your Last Battlefield on Laserdisc. And they did release this as a standalone VHS to promote Wrath of Khan back in 82. These are the remastered from 35 millimeter negatives starting in 1985 that were released. And I have all 79. And they had the next week preview, except a little trivia. Paramount in 1978 spliced in an effect shot from season 3 of Star Trek at the very beginning of the previews from seasons 1 and 2. Season 3 of Star Trek did have an original which survives syndication, same as Network, where it went bum, 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 psh, and it showed the ship going by with the letters, the Star Trek font. But in season 1 and 2, it showed actual scenes in the original NBC airing of the next week preview, which were spliced out, and they put in a season 3 effect shot of the Enterprise, and it said Star Trek Next Voyage. So that's not original. All right. So which one did you have on video, Joe Gutfeld? Did you have the one I just showed? Yes or no? Check out Movie Collector, 8 millimeter, 16 millimeter, 35 millimeter, and 4K stuff. Yeah, Movie Collector is a good YouTube channel, says Joe Russo. Joe Gutfeld said Star Trek II was her first acting role. Oh, yeah. Kirstie Alley, the late, great Kirstie Alley. Yes. And she was, by her own admission, she was addicted to cocaine, so maybe that had something to do with her bad decision to quit the Star Trek universe as Lieutenant Saavik. I don't know. I'm just speculating. Just like in a news story, there is, this is going to date the show, but there was a CEO slayer, let's just say, who in cold blood shot in the back a CEO of a major healthcare company. I don't want to mention because I despise insurance companies with a passion because I got screwed over, but I don't condone murder. Don't misunderstand. I wonder if that guy was inspired, speculation, by the Joker. Anyone who's seen the movie The Joker, there's some really dark and horrible things in that movie that may have desensitized people where they think they have the justification to do horrible things, which of course they don't. I don't know. I'm just spitballing there. Tommy Davis, do you remember the V series on TV? From my mouth to your ears, I was just talking about it. Yes, I have them on 16 millimeter film. V, the series. I have an action figure still in the box. Sell it to me. Is it of a hero like Donovan or one of the lizard people? Let me know in the comments if you're still there. I want it. I was just talking about how Warner Brothers kind of screwed the pooch when they released V, the series on DVD, because they did not, and here it is right here, they did not include the nifty and well-edited little trailers that originally aired on NBC right before the opening credits that showed what was coming up. This is the V Complete Series official DVD set by Warner Brothers, not yet released on Blu-ray or in HD, and it's missing all those trailers. Well, I have reel-to-reel film prints of key episodes like Liberation Day, the first episode that shows what happened after V, the final battle, when Diana escaped and the shuttlecraft with Donovan hot on her tail. No pun intended. Let me see what year this was released. I said before, 2005, 2004. I need some light. Hang on. (2004) Warner Brothers. 2004. V, the series. Yeah. Tommy Davis, sell it to me. I'll make you a fair offer. I want that. Send me a picture if you can. We're connected on Facebook. Let me show you a V film reel while I'm at it. I've got tons of key episodes. Here's one right here. I got to make sure it didn't show my shipping. Well, my shipment address is okay. Oh, yeah, I covered it up. There is V, the series, episode 1, Liberation Day, from October 26, 1984, NBC TV. Let's open it up. Perfect color. It's got the trailer. I need to put the trailer on my YouTube channel before this thing goes vinegar. Hopefully it won't. Does not smell like vinegar. There's the print. Oh, there goes my script of the translated Space Giants. I got to do one more show, but check it out, man. That's V. I can show you another one too. And this is from a print from the U.S. Armed Forces Network. So the soldiers got to watch this baby back in the 80s for entertainment, because it has a little logo for the Armed Forces Network at the end. Let's see. Here's another V episode. Oh, that's the Dukes of Hazzard. The Dukes of Hazzard Christmas episode. Wait a minute. Yeah, this is the Christmas episode of the Dukes of Hazzard on film. It's called Santa Chase. I don't know. Dukes of Hazzard from Australia. This is an Australian print I had imported. This one I could sell for a small little bundle, but I don't want to. Oh, let's see here. Wow. Let me get my other V reel and we'll get back on track with the Space Giants. Hang on. It is going to be... Here's another V episode. V, the series, episode 3, Breakout. This was a censored episode. NBC aired after the show was canceled finally, but in the original run, former executives thought the show was just too violent for television for a Friday night show that they thought was a kid show. It was never a kid show, V. Kenneth Johnson wrote and created V, the original miniseries. Brilliant, man. He's been on the Pod Blast. I interviewed him. I want to interview him again on camera. Look at that. Breakout. And it's got the cool little trailer in there. Has a little monster, a cool monster. Reminds me of the Outer Limits Invisible Enemy, starring Adam West, season 2 of Outer Limits. And then here's another V episode. I got a ton of them. The Betrayal. Episode 12? Yeah, episode 12 from Australia. Let me open it up. Australian print, perfect color, but I digress. Little trivia. You know who played, you know about Dominique Dunn? You know who Dominique Dunn is? Here, I'll show you. Dominique Dunn was from Poltergeist, the brunette, the older daughter, right? Oh, shucks. Hold on a second, folks. Hang on. This lady. Oh, jeez. Why isn't that? Shit. Hang on. Liberation Day. The series. Okay. This is who Dominique Dunn is, and I'll get back to Space Giants. I know I've said that like half an hour ago at least, and I'm droning on and on. It's the coffee. All right, here is Dominique Dunn from Poltergeist. I think I still have this clip. Breathe. I'm going to take a break in a minute. I'm going to have a heart attack. Wouldn't that be something to just die while you're live? Shouldn't say that. Watch me just keel over dead. Here's Dominique Dunn. That's Dominique Dunn. When she was cast, this actress Blair replaced her. Her boyfriend killed her. It was terrible. Just total psycho. But Dominique Dunn, she was cast, and there's some shots that remain in V, the original miniseries, from behind when the ship lands in the neighborhood. Kenneth Johnson's talked about that many times. Okay, so that's where we left off with the comments. Just showed my 5-year-old grandson Empire Strikes Back. I have created a monster. Baby mama is going to kick my butt. Yeah, because he'll want the toys. I have a reel-to-reel film print of Empire in CinemaScope. And for Star Wars, the original print, before it was retitled Episode 4, A New Hope, for the re-release in theaters to promote Empire Strikes Back, they rebranded it, because originally it just said Star Wars, and then it is a period of Civil War. It didn't say anything about that. My film print's like that. But it's in 16, so it's mono, which kind of sucks. I mean, it's well mixed, the sound. But It's in scope, though. It's gorgeous print of The Empire Strikes Back. The original version, which is nice, before all the changes that Lucas made with his special editions of 1997. That's cool that you introduced your grandson. You won't regret it. That's good. I bet he was scared. I was scared in the theater when Luke got his hand cut off. I was traumatized. Like, oh my God. I didn't cry or anything, but I remember just being shocked when I was a little kid watching that in the theater. I was like, for the first time, I was with my grandparents in St. Louis, Missouri, and I was like, Luke's hand. Even when he got his bionic hand, if you will, at the end, I didn't like that. Platinum Gnome says, I love the show. Randomly showed in my feed. Which show? Space Giants? Heck yeah. You're on Team Space Giants. We're brothers. Nostalgic brothers. If you like the Space Giants, we're on the same team for sure. My son is an Ultraman fan, says Joe Russo. I like Ultraman as well. Had Mego toys. Yeah. I'm going to get to the Star Trek story in just a minute. I got one more Space Giants to perform for the first time in English. I don't think it ever aired in English, this scene. It's a cliffhanger yet, too. Okay, let's see. Not that one. Let's see. It's pretty bad makeup with the guy's lip. Yeah, in Star Trek 3, Search for Spock. I know. That Leonard Nimoy he's a great director. I liked 3 Men and a Baby, Star Trek 3, Star Trek 4. I like everything he pretty much directed, but that was pretty bad. That little alien. Goodness, how can you be deaf with ears like that? Yeah, I just thought that whole scene was off. But that's a nitpick because it's a great film. And when the Enterprise, spoiler alert, self-destructs, I love the throwback to Let That Be Your Last Battlefield season 3 episode with the destruct sequence code. That was so cool, that continuity. Love that. What was it? 0, 0, 0. Destruct. 0. Anyway, all right. My version has the picture of Kirk and Khan on the front cover. Okay, that is the original. Not that one, you say. Okay, so it wasn't. Now I'm caught up with what you're saying. So you had the original from 1982. Very cool. Good on you. I have it on Laserdisc. I don't have the VHS of the original. Yeah, I think it had a white cover, did it not? Do you still have it? Let me know in the comments. Oh, yes, MEGO. Atlantium says, I'm glad you clarified the spelling of Mego, M-E-G-O. M-E-G-O Star Trek. You've got to subscribe to his channel. He's gained a lot. Like he had, I think, 300 subscribers when he started. Now he's well over 1,000 just in 24 hours, deservedly so, because he's releasing these Lost Star Trek. I'll just play one now, I guess, and I'll get back to the Space Giants. I'm going to play one. This is from his channel. Oh, okay. Then you do have, I'm going to, give me a second. I'll play a clip. I'm going to pull my laser disc of it. Because it didn't have the next week preview in the 1982 release. You do have the one. You said not that one though. Maybe you're thinking of the picture. Maybe I'm talking about the format of the VHS. Anyway, I'll get to it. All right. All right, I'm going to play you a lost scene. This is a great scene from the last season 1 episode of Star Trek, which a lot of people don't like, the one where Spock is temporarily blinded, titled Operation Annihilate. Remember, it had Captain Kirk's nephew, Peter, in the cast, in the story, and Denovum. That's the one with those little slime devil creatures that attach to Spock's back, and it causes insanity due to the pain getting in his spine and everything. And you just see Peter, who's an actor, actually. He was just interviewed on the RetroZest podcast, episode 152. Go to retrozest.com. There's an interview with him. He later played a different character in season 3's terrible episode, And the Children Shall Lead, that showed Uhura rapidly aging, through an illusion. And it had Melvin Belli, who never should have been cast in the show. He was the attorney for Mick Jagger portraying the alien. But let me show you now. God, this is messing me up, this new format on StreamYard. Yes, let me show you if I can find it really quickly. And then I got to take a break. A clip from his channel. This is with Peter. It's under a minute long with Peter Kirk. This should have been in the episode. This is the final scene of the episode. His parents are dead because the creatures, his father drove himself into the sun and committed suicide just to be rid of the pain. And then his mom suffered. She died in the Enterprise. Remember, in the sick bay? Things, horrible things. Don't let it go any further. And then she dies. Like the vital signs go down. That's his mom. Well, here's a cut scene from Mego Star Trek. Thank you, Mego Star Trek. Just giving you a plug there. Let's watch this together. This is a good cut scene. I'd never seen it before, except for in pictures of it in magazines like Starlog.
Peter, are you sure you wouldn't rather go back to Earth?
I'm sure, sir. Dad thought Denver was the best place in the whole galaxy.
Your father's partner said that he and his wife wanted a little boy.
They're not like Mom and Dad.
Nobody ever is, Petey. Run along. They're waiting for you at the transporter room.
Goodbye, Petey. Goodbye. Goodbye, sir.
He might want to go to the academy later on. He looks like a bright lad.
I hope he decides not to. If there'd been no other choice, Scotty, I'd have had to have given the order to destroy the planet. I don't want him to ever have to make that choice. Aye.
Dad to the bone. I love that. So that was a scene shot, and the leader of that channel, Mego Star Trek, added the bridge sound effects. Great job. These are from the editor, the film editor's film vault. So it's like alternate takes, cut scenes that he's found. I love how it has the font style deleted scene, like the opening credits of the original Star Trek. Now he missed the sound effect of the turbo lift doors opening, whoosh, whoosh, and that's okay. You hear like the roll sound, like from the stagehands opening and shutting the doors. That's okay. I love this channel. So that was my hot tip for classic Trekkers or Trekkies, if you will. I'm a Trekker. Nothing wrong with being a Trekkie. I'm a Trekker. I'm more serious, more cerebral. I don't dress up and things like a Trekkie does. Nothing wrong with that. No judgments. But I don't know why my Southern accent's coming out there. But what this guy's doing is amazing. I don't want to put it on my channel. It's his baby. I wanted to play one of them. And that's a key one. There's so many other great, really impactful scenes like that have never been seen. So check it out if you're into Star Trek. All right, now we're going to get to the movie review in just a moment. I need to get back to the comments. Where did I leave off? I got to play a clip, take a break. I'm going to play a music clip. Let me see which one I can play. All right, I'm just going to play. Let me find a clip real quick. Gosh. I need something that's got a little bit of time that I know will be okay. I'm just going to play this song. Danny Staten does not like the song. He dislikes it with a passion, but I like it. Okay, where is it? I'm talking about, where is it? Dang. Bear with me, folks. I'll do my final Space Giant scene. Here it is. This is Wet Willie, a live performance of the song Weekend from 1979. I won't play the whole thing. I've got to relieve myself and go number one. I'll be right back.
I am talking about The Weekend. Yes, I am. Singing, I'm tired of working like I'm talking about. To the drive-in with all your girlfriends. You miss the whole show. Oh, now, but you gotta make the best of life while you're young. Listen, people, weekends. I'm watching all the people play on the weekends. I want to hear everybody say, weekend. Hey, yeah. Weekend. Oh, do what you wanna do. Weekend now, baby. When all those working days are through. Weekend. Yeah. You gotta make the best of life while you're young. Right now, weekend. Do what you wanna do on the weekend. When all those working days are through. Weekend. Yeah, yeah. Weekend. I'm talking about crazy nights and lazy days only. I'm gonna get down all the way on the weekend with all my good friends. Yeah. Oh, get it on down the people. Round and round and round and round and round. Yeah. Oh, let's ride. Gonna ride on. Everybody gonna ride. Gonna ride on the weekend.
All right, I'm back. Probably lost some eyeballs there, as Corey's comedy channel would say. Hey, I found the Star Trek VHS. Let me just upload the images I was doing while that song was playing by Wet Willie. Weekend, One Hit Wonders. Was this the tape you had? I'm going to show you both, the 1982 release of Space Heat and the 1985 VHS release of Space Heat, the episode with Khan, introduced Khan from season 1 of the original Star Trek. Let me get back to, let's see. Let me look at this. Let me find, not that one. Let me see. So it was, hang on. God, I'm way lost in the comments. Hang on, guys. This is bad. My fault. Okay. Joe Gutfeld. That's who it was. Of course, Joe Gutfeld. Look, which one you talking about? Because both have Kirk and Khan on the cover. I'm going to show them to you right now. So if you're still there, I'm very curious to know which VHS tape do you have or did you have? Is it, man, I meant the wrong thing. Is it this one from 1982 with the white cover? Or is it this one from 1985? That one. Now, how do we identify? Just say the white cover or the black cover. Which one did you have? There's the white cover from 1982. I have that on Laserdisc with Let That Be Your Last Battlefield. On the flip side, or did you have this one from 1985? Because this had the next week preview. The other one did not. This one did not have the next week preview in it. This one definitely did. And then when they released it again in 1990, Paramount, they took the damn next week preview out, which was stupid. They put them on the DVDs though, but it was like in a supplemental section, you know, it didn't flow with the episode. Okay. Let me get back to the comments and let you see that. Let that catch up to you. Okay. Okay. I saw The Joker, and it was a cold-ass movie, cold butt movie, says Tracy's Fractured History More. I agree. It rubbed me the wrong way. I mean, I did not care for it. And the sequel tanked at the box office. They did as a musical. It's Donovan, right? Wow. Okay. Oh, Donovan, your action figure. Oh, well, you can keep it. I thought it was going to be Diana, or not to use it appropriately, but like, or a lizard. I wanted one like a fembot where the mask would come off and you'd see either the circuitry or the lizard underneath. I'm joking. I'm still interested in a Donovan figure. I like the Beastmaster. I like Mark Singer. He did a movie called The Two Worlds of Jenny Logan with Lindsay Wagner, directed by Janat Schwartz. We talked about earlier, directed. No, he didn't. Janat Schwartz did not direct that. I always get that confused because it's a lot like Somewhere in Time. It was a TV movie from October 29th, 1979. And it's a romantic movie. Lindsay Wagner was after The Bionic Woman ended, and she plays a modern woman that discovers the ability to go back in time, and she falls in love with Mark Singer's character in the year 1899, New Year's Eve into 1899 into 1900. And I have it on 16 millimeter film. It has been released since by MGM with restored quality in HD. I've seen it in more recent years on cable. I don't know if it's streaming anywhere like Tubi TV, but it's called The Two Worlds of Jenny Logan. The Two Worlds of Jenny Logan. And it's a great, great movie. Underrated. All right, enough said. Move on. I need that V set of the action figures. I'm impressed, Chance, says Tracy. Well, I like you too. I don't sell a damn thing, says Joe Russo. Well, that's all right. Okay. Wow. She died. Yeah, Dominique Dunn. Dominique Dunn was killed by a stalker. It was her ex-boyfriend who was stalking her. So you are correct, but that guy was a sick freak for sure. Any killer's a sick freak. The reason Kirstie Alley, according to Joe Gutfeld, left Star Trek, that's right. It was that her salary was cut for the third movie, even though they expanded the role in The Search for Spock. Yes, and she was supposed to be pregnant. Saavik, when Spock's going through the Ponfar and the Genesis planet and he hits puberty, every 7 years they have to mate or die. She helped him out. And I mean, it's implied heavily by director Leonard Nimoy that they got it on. And in Star Trek 4, she's supposed to be pregnant with a little baby bump. That's why you see her from the waist up. And that was never explored in Star Trek 4, the Voyage Home. Correct. So Joe Gutfeld, again, his comment was, the reason Kirstie Alley left Star Trek was that her salary was cut for the third movie, even though they expanded the role in The Search for Spock. Okay, cool. It's a comment so nice, I read it twice. Tracy's Fractured History More says, Joe, you need to buy your grandson a C-3PO plushie for him. The Loyal Order of Classic TV commented, I often wondered why more live-action Japanese shows didn't come over here. Ultraman, Space Giants, Johnny Sacco, and Spectre-Man was it. Yep, and the Power Rangers, which, of course, they added American-filmed content with the Japanese film content and merged them together like in a mind meld, if you will. Climb the steps of Mount... I'm just kidding. Joe Russo. I love Space Giants, but wow. Talking about going off topic. Love it. I'm sorry. That's why this is called the Nostalgic Pod Blast, because I blast into a tangent, and I'm sorry that angers some people, but other people like it. Let me get back onto the Space Giants. I did a whole documentary of the Space Giants. It's on my YouTube channel recently, so I didn't want to be too repetitive, but I have all sorts of Space Giants content here on my channel on YouTube, the Nostalgic Pod Blast. The only other episode I have on VHS is Plato's Stepchildren. Yeah, that one was banned in England for a while because of the S&M scenes by the sadistic aliens with mental telepathy powers. Tracy's Fractured History More said, I need to find out what time Space Giants originally aired in Chicago when I was growing up. It probably didn't. It was on TBS, which you could get on your cable provider in Chicago. I don't think it was syndicated to the Chicago market. I know it was in Philadelphia, as I said earlier, Boston, some other major cities on the East Coast. I'm not sure about the West Coast at all. According to my research, Chicago was not on the list, but it might have been. I don't think it was, though. The other episodes are recorded during Star Trek episode marathons on local TV here in New York City. Yep. WGNX 46, an independent station, which is now a CBS affiliate here in the Atlanta, Georgia area. And they have new call letters too, aired Star Trek in 1985, the same time Paramount was issuing the entire series for the first time on VHS tape. Star Trek started the whole classic TV show on DVD, and certainly well before streaming. Star Trek broke new roads even after its death on TV in 1969. Not only did you have record-breaking box office, well, not record-breaking, but very high returns in terms of box office dollars, multi-million-dollar profits at the box office for Paramount Pictures. But syndication. You know, you had the toys, you had the Mego toys, you had the Topps cards from 1976, really 1976, even before the motion picture was released in late 79. You just had like the peak of the popularity in terms of conventions. Star Trek bloopers, those 16mm film reels were circulating at conventions back then. Got to run, says Esmeralda. Thank you, Chance. Thank you, chat. Great show. Thanks for being here. Let me get back to Space Giants. I better get back to that. I miss Starlog and Fangoria. Yes, Starlog, that's Carrie O'Quinn, the publisher. I have Starlog issues 1 through 200 and some Fangoria. I got in a lot of trouble when I was a kid bringing Fangorias to school because of the graphic shots of makeup effects in movies like Friday the 13th Part 3D. Oh, I'm also a Trekker, says Joe Russo. The black cover is what Joe Gutfeld had. Yeah. Okay, that's what I suspected when you mentioned the 1 minute preview. Cool. Now we have clarified that. Let's get to the final Space Giants clip at last. God, I've gone 2.5 hours almost. With the new translations from a real Japanese American, Akiko. These are accurate translations. Let me get to the clip. Here it is. Now, this is the cliffhanger of the episode 15 that I didn't research this, so this might be a little clanky. Let's watch it. Now, what's happened in the story, Silvar has been captured on Skull Island. It literally is a Skull Island with a skull and an effect shot, an animated effect shot overhead. This is where the Lugo Men Training Center is. And Silvar has been tasked to plant a bomb in a watch to blow it up. The Lugo Men capture her here. And there's an underwater sequence akin to James Bond's Thunderball. This picks up right after that scene with guys with harpoons attack Silvar underwater. It's pretty good underwater photography for 1966. Clearly, they were influenced by Thunderball at that point in time in the mid to late 1960s. Let's watch this clip, 4 minutes, 51 seconds long, and I'll perform the Japanese tracks that have never been translated to English for you live. Let's watch.
A watch?
Okay.
A watch. And it's working. Who are you with? Lugo Man number 5 calling Rodak spaceship. Roger. This rocket human robot is trying to fight Rodak. Rodak said to kill her immediately. Yeah. Goodbye. Damn. Hurry! Let's go! It's too late! What the fuck? This water's hot!
贅沢を言って困りますわね。
You're too picky. A lot of people are dying.
一滴
And they
のお湯
don't
もな
even
く
have
て
one drop
大
of
勢の
hot
人が死
water.
んでいくんですよ。
はい。え？アメリカ空軍が特殊なドライアイスを
The U.S. Air Force is going to drop dry ice into the clouds to make it rain.
実験では
In the experiment, they were very successful.
やってくれ。
There they are. There they go.
Earthlings who are still alive! I'm going to announce this big news! Because of Charon's super energy, the ice in the North and South Pole is finally starting to melt! If the ice in the poles melt completely, the Earth will be underwater! Watch! The tsunami is coming!
I'm sorry if I was too loud there. I don't know about the audio level, so I really am sorry if I was too loud for your eardrums there. There you go. So those are the scripts. Should I do the Christmas cutscene as well? I don't know. Let me just read for you the very beginning. I should have done this earlier. No, I'll just read this scene because it's too far past the one I already translated. I was going to read just verbatim what I translated. All right, what we just saw, Lugoman, a watch. Silvar, a watch. Lugoman, and it's working. Lugoman continues. Lugoman number 5, calling Rodak's spaceship. And then the Lugoman returns to the scene. Roger, this rocket human robot is trying to fight Rodak. Rodak said to kill her immediately. Silvar, on the firing line. Goldar, Gam, goodbye. And then Gam saves the day, and then Gam blasts the shackles from her wrists. She says, hurry! And then we see Miko. It's too late. Bomb goes off. And then Litter says, what the F? This is what Akiko translated. I don't know. I'll just say what the heck. I said what the F in my performance there. So Mura's boss at the press, the National Press International, what the heck? This water's hot. And then Liz, the staff photographer, says, you're too picky. A lot of people are dying, and they don't even have one drop of hot water. Then Mura gets a phone call. The U.S. Air Force is going to drop dry ice into the clouds to make it rain. In the experiment, they were very successful. Then Rodak shows up in his spaceship. Earthlings who are still alive, I'm going to announce this big news. Because of Terran's super energy, the ice in the North and South Pole is finally starting to melt. If the ice in the poles melts completely, the Earth will be underwater. Watch! The tsunami is coming! End of scene. No Paul Hecht. That was the actor that voiced that. He was a Broadway and film and television actor. But there's that one. So maybe I should try to redo the Christmas cutscene. And then the script for the first scene I did, I'll timestamp all of this from episode 15, Terror from Terran, from October 10th, 1966. Rodak, Goldar, though you are my enemy. No, wait, no, I back up. Okay. Goldar, take that. Why do you hide? Come back. And then Goldar says, take this, Rodak. Then continuing, Rodak, Goldar, though you are my enemy, you are mighty. How is it possible for stupid Earthlings to make such a great rocket robot like you? Goldar, it's a secret, Rodak. Fight, Rodak. And then Rodak goes up into his ship. Rodak, the childlike power you have makes me laugh. Goldar, show me your real power. Now, I am going to show you what I can do. Watch this.
No one defeats Rodak. I got this element from the planet Venus. It will turn you into scrap metal.
Lita, hang on. I can't run anymore. Don't mind me. Just run. Miko, Gam, take care of her. Goldar, fight. Let's go. He shows up to take on the Lugo men. Gam, Father, you saved us. We could have been killed. Miko, thank you, Goldar. Goldar, you both did a great job against so many. Whether you win or lose, it's important to fight courageously. That is how you save the Earth. Miko agrees. Yes. Then Lita says, Goldar, because of Rodak, Terran is going crazy, destroying things. End of scene. I want to mention something I've never mentioned before about the planet Venus. Rodak was obsessed with the planet Venus in the Milky Way galaxy, our galaxy, of course. In the very first episode, or was it the second or third, in that first 4-episode storyline, I think it's episode 2. He's talking to his advisors and he goes, yeah, second episode, stupid Earthlings. They haven't even been to Venus or conquered other stars. Like he always mentioned Venus as he did in that scene. I got this from the planet Venus. He loves the planet Venus. Okay. I guess I will grab the script and I'll try to perform. This is very brief, and I'm sorry if I'm breaking your eardrums or your equipment. From the Christmas episode where Rodak kills that preacher in church, and this was cut for violence in America, an American syndication. Let me find that one. Episode 25. Oh, gosh. Okay. I need to breathe. Okay. I'm going to just play this scene. It's 2 minute scene, 2 minute, 39 seconds. And I'll try as best I can to perform the English of this scene. Please, God, protect Gam.
People
in the street keep dying one after another. From the universe, the monster Vakuma started the fighting. There are inexplicable events in the entire world due to terrorism. I don't know why.
According to me, Earth's destruction is your fault. You all here. The only way to save the Earth is to surrender to Rodak, who is the Emperor and the God of the universe.
We have to save the world. Yes. Please calm down. Don't panic.
Stay right there and listen to these folks like that. Men, take them prisoner. Papa! Get them! Get them!
All right. Losing my voice. Take a breath there. Let me get to the comments. So I'm doing the best I can, but thank you, Tracy. You're so sweet. That was great, Chance. I can't, I don't know if my audio is coming through loud enough, so I can't really emote, like I want to. But thank you for that. I do the best I can. I'm back, says Joe Russo. Space Giants. You're old like me, says Joe C. That's right. I am old. Joe Russo watched Johnny Sacco, TV 20 in Detroit, Michigan. Yeah, that's a different show. It's similar. A boy and his rocket. I mean, a boy and his robot, right? A boy and his rocket. I miss old school cable, says Joe Russo. Free TV. Joe Russo. Yeah, indeed. Okay, well, we've gone 2 hours and 42 minutes. That's all of the Space Giants I want to show tonight. Now for a quick movie review of Nosferatu, based on the classic. I was talking with Al Hardy today, and he said something I really strongly disagree with. A year ago, he and Tom Williams and I, Al Hardy, Tom Williams and I saw Godzilla -1 or Godzilla 0. I always screw that. Well, -1 is 0. What is it? Godzilla 0, right? We saw it in the theater as like a holiday movie jaunt together. Wait a minute. Godzilla -1, isn't it? Why do I screw that up? Godzilla. Hang on. I got to get this right. Godzilla -1. Right. I always want to say Godzilla 0 because -1 is 0. All right. Godzilla -1. We saw it together. It's a monster movie. So I talked to Al. I said, hey, let's see Nosferatu together. Like we did last year. We saw a monster movie. And he goes, well, Nosferatu is not a monster movie. And I go, I beg your pardon? Come again? He goes, it's not. It's not a monster. I said, it's a vampire. Chat, do you think it's a monster movie? Yes or no? Am I off base here? I thought, sir, it most certainly is a monster movie. Look at Universal horror movie Dracula. That's a Universal horror monster movie. He goes, I think Godzilla is more of a monster. And it's a giant monster. It's a monster. No, the Mummy, the Invisible Man, those are all technically monsters. Oh, see, it's another, is Die Hard a Christmas movie or not kind of debate. But I think this debate is a clear-cut case of Al being out of touch, but that's just me. Of course, Nosferatu is a monster movie. He says it's a horror movie. Okay, I guess it's open to debate. Well, let's look at a movie review from our man on the street, our man in the seats in the movie theaters, JT. Take it away, JT, for your 2-minute movie review.
Hello, this is Movie Reviews by JT, and I got another review for you. Nosferatu, directed by Robert Eggers. This film was the best movie I saw this year. It was so good. Crazy, scary, edge of my seat in the theater last night. I liked the music, the score, real pace. Robert Eggers directing is perfect. Did it again, knock it out of the park. The performances by Louis Rose Depp, Bill Skarsgård, Nicholas Hall, William Dafoe, and Aaron Taylor Johnson are outstanding. Yeah, they was good in the movie, and I can't wait to rewatch this movie again. I like all Robert Eggers' 4 films, and yeah, this film was great. I enjoyed it, and yeah, I can't wait to rewatch it again very soon, and yeah, it's 2 hours, but the 2 hours go by fast, and yeah, it just was great. I give this film, Nosferatu, an A+. Great film. Definitely check it out in theater this weekend and everything and stuff. So that's my review for Nosferatu. All right, bye.
Thank you, JT. I appreciate it as always, sir. I'm going to send you some more popcorn for your efforts there. So I guess that about wraps it up. I'm just going to scan and make sure I played all the clips I wanted to share with you guys. I'm sorry I got so off course of the Space Giants. That was the main focus. if you were here for my Christmas show, I talked about a Chips episode with Pamela Susan Shoop. I'm going to try to play this clip. It's probably going to get my stream suspended, but this is a Chips episode, Christmas Watch from season 3 from December 15th, 1979. I just love this part where there's a couple of thieves, a woman and a man. They're robbing houses and they get caught, of course, by the good guys. And Pamela Susan Shoop, like, she's sympathetic to her thief boyfriend, husband, whatever, because he grew up poor and he always wanted a toy airplane. So when they recover the things of value, they find a toy airplane, and the cops are perplexed. Like, we found this plane in here. And then Pamela Susan Shoop, who you saw in Halloween 2, she's the poor girl that got killed in the hot tub. And she was in a lot of shows like Knight Rider, The Fall Guy. You've seen her. You may not know the name. She's in The Incredible Hulk, the first regular season episode filmed in production order, Terror in Times Square. She was David Banner's girlfriend, the daughter of an arcade owner who was being squeezed by the mob to turn over money every week for protection. Anyway, she goes, he always wanted an airplane. I'm going to try to play that clip. It's 1 minute, 43 seconds long from Chip's Christmas episode. Let's see what happens here.
Yeah, I understand. Okay. Okay, we'll be there. All right, Merry Christmas. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas. Guess what?
What?
They got it.
Oh. Oh.
This is the only questionable item I found.
Maybe you've been stealing all your life. Maybe you don't know what it is to tramp the streets and work your guts out. Like
Watch this.
For that
Watch
bell.
this.
But sometime, man, there had to be something you wanted with all your heart.
Once you wanted an airplane. I remember that.
I better cut it right there. I did a terrible impression, but she's like, he always wanted an airplane. I always like that. I don't know. I liked her performance. She's an underrated actress, primarily a TV actress from back in the day. But she did 2 Fall Guys, The Meek Shall Inherit Rhonda, which is the first episode produced after the pilot, episode 2 in aired order. And she was in the season 2 premiere Bail and Bond, a James Bond themed Fall Guy. I like the ones where Colt's supposedly working on the set of a James Bond movie doing the stunts. That wasn't the first one filmed for season 2 of Fall Guy. Piece of Cake was the first episode filmed for season 2 of Fall Guy, but it was the season 2 premiere in aired order, introducing Marky Post as Terry Shannon, later retitled Terry Michaels, her character. Anyway, going to say goodnight. Appreciate everybody being here. I hope you have a very happy 2025 and beyond. And long live the Space Giants. Thank you, Space Giants fans. A lot of new folks showed up tonight. I apologize for going off topic. Joe Russo says, oh man, gotta go do the dad thing. Take care and God bless. Thank you for joining me, Joe. Nice to meet you. I appreciate you being here. And I will subscribe to you and anyone else who joined tonight. So let me just find a clip. I'm going to also look at my photos, make sure I always forget something. You know, I go so long and then I forget something I wanted to mention. And we're talking about Star Trek 4. Lord, there's my framed movie poster of Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home. Gonna lose my voice after this show. Let's see. I was talking about Nick. I meant to show that when I was talking about how Nick at Night would talk over the end credits, unlike Me TV. So thanks for tuning in for the Space Giants performance, if you will. Here's some images that I'd pulled. I'm gonna make sure I showed them all. And thanks to the lovely Akiko for translating these for me back in 20. Let me find a clip now. We'll sign off. Some music here. Before I have a heart attack and die. I'm so glad it's Friday. Thank God it's Friday. Good night, everybody.
Let's dance.
Inspector!